The August 3rd, 2023 regular session of the Clarksville City Council is now called to order. Pastor Derek Lewandowski of Redeeming Hope Church will be our chaplain of the day. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilperson Wallace Redd. I'll invite you to stand if you wish. And Pastor, please lead us in prayer.
As I stand here tonight in prayer, I'm reminded of what Founding Father Ben Franklin once said. I have lived, sir, a long time, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an entire empire can rise without his aid? Psalm 16, 7 and 8 comes to mind. I bless the Lord who gives me counsel. In the night my heart also instructs me. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken. Father of lights, in you there is no darkness at all. There is no confusion or anxiety. We set you before us as we begin this gathering to discuss the issues in our community. You give us counsel and you instruct our hearts. When we lack light, you invite us to come to you as your children, inviting us with a promise. If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who will give it generously without finding fault. So we ask for your light, your counsel, and your wisdom. And we thank you that you are generous in giving it. There is no greater demonstration of your generosity than in the giving of your Son, Jesus Christ, on the cross, where you open the door of grace wide to you. So we thank you for your love, your kindness, and your Father heart toward us. We set you before us and welcome your light in this place. And I pray this in the name of the one that I worship, Jesus Christ, God's only Son. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, please register your attendance. Madam Clerk, take the roll.
All members are present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have one special recognition. Let me invite our outstanding partners with Urban Ministries to come forward this evening. I saw Sandra and Nancy. Y'all come on up too. You didn't know you were going to be on TV, did you, Nancy? One of the great blessings of our community is having strong nonprofit organizations that meet the needs of people where they are. Urban Ministries is one such organization doing outstanding work in our community, and it is on their behalf and behalf of the citizens of Clarksville that we proclaim Homeless Awareness Week. And so it's my honor to present this to you and declare August 5th through the 11th as Homeless Awareness Week. Be it further resolved that the City of Clarksville encourages all citizens to recognize that many people do not have housing and need support from citizens and private nonprofit service entities. Furthermore, I commend the Urban Ministries Grace Assistance Program for their commitment to this issue in our community. And on behalf of the City Council and the citizens, it is signed, sealed, and now delivered, Jody. And congratulations, and please say a word.
Well, we want to say thank you so much, and thank you for all that you all do to support us as we support our neighbors that are in need in this area. Thank you to Deborah Ashcroft, who manages our Grace Assistance Program, and to all of our board case managers that are meeting with our clients daily and assisting them with all that we can do. We thank you for your prayers and for your support, and we just appreciate you, Mayor, for doing this.
You're welcome. Thank you. Let's give Urban Ministries a round of applause.
sir. Appreciate you so much.
Thank
Well
you so
done.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the Planning Commission report. Councilperson Streetman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 items on our agenda tonight. Madam Clerk, or 9 items on our agenda. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinances?
Ordinance 3, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Bill Ballou, for zone change on property located on a parcel of land fronting on the west frontage of Allen Road, 925 plus or minus feet north of the Tiny Town Road and Allen Road intersection, from AG Agricultural District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 4, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Eddie Burchett for zone change on a tract of land fronting on the south frontage of Rossview Road, south of the Rossview Road and Rollo Lane intersection, from AG Agricultural District to R5 Residential District. Ordinance 5, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Reach Holdings for zone change on property located on a portion of a tract of land fronting on the north frontage of Wilson Road, 760 feet plus or minus feet east of the Wilson Road and Chase Drive intersection, from R5 Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District and C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 6, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Reach Holdings for zone change on a portion of a tract of land fronting on the south frontage of Wilson Road, 290 plus or minus feet east of the Wilson Road and Chase Drive intersection, from R5 Residential District to C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 7, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Adam Blick for zone change on a parcel fronting on the north frontage of Ava Drive, 180 plus or minus feet east of the Britton Springs Road and Ava Drive intersection, from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R3 Three Family Residential District. Ordinance 8, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jonathan and Adam Blick for zone change on a parcel located at the southeast corner of the Britton Springs Road and Ava Drive intersection, from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 9, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of VP Riverside Development for zone change on a tract of land located north of College Street, north of the College Street and Hornberger Lane intersection, east of Red River Street and south of Red River Street, from M2 General Industrial District to MXU PUD Mixed Use Development.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, I move we go into public hearing.
Motion been made to revert to public hearing, properly seconded. Without objection, we are now in public hearing. First item in our public hearing is ordinance 3, 2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Bill Ballou. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 3? Mr. Ballou, if you'll give us your name and address, you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Bill Ballou. I'm the owner, live at 1920 Needmore Road. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Any questions for Mr. Ballou? Other than how much weight have you lost, sir? Goodness gracious. Goodness.
Over 100
All right. Going to stand up twice to make a shadow. Okay. Anyone else in the audience that wish to speak in favor of ordinance 3? Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak against ordinance 3? Next item on our public hearing list is ordinance 4, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Eddie Burchett. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 4? Mr. Burchett, give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. My name's Eddie Burchett. I live at 435 Redbud in Clarksville, Tennessee. Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for your service to our city. I'm trying to zone this property to R5 to build some condominiums. Staff recommended disapproval. They didn't mind the zoning, but they were concerned with the traffic on Rossview. Commissioners voted 100% in favor of this zone change. The traffic study was done in June of this year, and it was reviewed by the City of Clarksville Street Department. Had no adverse effects on Rossview. It was determined. Was sight distance in both directions was deemed adequate. The IDB had no negative comments and thought it was a good place for some people that they're getting jobs for to live, so they were in favor of that. I will set back the right-of-way that the state has proposed for the widening of Rossview Road, so there won't be any additional condemnation of improvements. If you pull out of this site that I'm proposing where the entrance is, we've moved it as far to the west as we can to allow for the most sight distance to Rollo Lane. You look left and you look right. There's no traffic in the front because there's no entrance on the Rossview. If you head west on Rossview in 23 seconds, you'll be to a 5-lane highway, divided highway. In 30 seconds, you're going to be at the entrance of the park, the new city park, and also the entrance of the industrial park. So I am a builder and developer. I've been doing it for 38 and a half years, and I think there's a need for this product in town. Introductory level lots today are $65,000, and quite frankly, most of my career I built a house and a lot for $65,000, and it is difficult to overcome that initial land cost, and so building these condominiums, I think I can get this down to about $30,000 per unit, and provide some relief for a first-time buyer or any buyer for that means. Because, this backs up to the city park, and I think it'd be a good place for people to live, work, and play here in Clarksville, Tennessee, and I'd appreciate your support in this zone change.
Thank you, Mr. Burchett. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Of course, your request is to have this rezoned as R5, so those would be condos for purchase, not for
Correct.
rent. Also, I know you mentioned this about leaving some of the road, because obviously that's along the area where the state is currently planning the widening of the road. You've already worked with the state and county in order to determine what land is needed there so that it's not going to be an issue, correct?
Yes, we have seen the plans that they have proposed for the widening, and I'm willing to set back off of that right-of-way that would need to be used to widen Rossview.
And I know you've got your time schedule is in here for, as far as your building and everything along with that. It says the first phase is only approximately 30 units, so you're obviously going to be doing this a phase at a time, not all at once.
We will, I'll develop all the pads at one time, and as I sell them, I'll build them. I think a good year would be 30 a year. I would be very happy, and so it would take me about 3 years. I hope to be starting building them sometime in 25, say January, February of 25, to start building them.
And then last but not least, I know also included in here, you mentioned the IDB, that you've got the Director of Economic Development for the Industrial Development Board, Mr. Josh Ward, had written a letter that y'all had, that they had no objection to it either. I know that one of the fellow commissioners on a different zoning issue had talked about the fact that there is a need for more that is on that side, much closer to the industrial park, to allow for people to be able to work there and go, you know, essentially very close to across to be able to work in the industrial park.
Yes, they like this location.
Okay. All right. That's my questions. Thank you, Mr. Burchett.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Burchett, thank you for explaining everything that you just stated to us about this area. How far is this from the school? How far is this land?
The existing school, that it's not very far at all. It would probably be a mile maybe,
A mile from the school?
somewhere in there, I would think.
Have you talked to any of the residents in that area?
Well, no one's come to me in opposition. There's really no residents right there behind us. The park's right behind us. Mr. Connell's just down the road, but there's no one in front because it's the industrial park, so,
Okay. All right, thank you.
thank you.
Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, sir. And I just wanted to clarify, just for the residents that are listening, because we're talking about Rossview Road, so this is to the east of the interstate. So those, it's zoned for Kirkwood, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think
correct.
these are
So,
what I heard.
And the only question that I have for you, sir, is right there at that intersection, at that three-way intersection there. Are you gonna put a light or something there?
No, there's a light when you get to the industrial park and
Right.
the city park. The other way, there won't be a light at Rollo Lane. There won't be, but there is been determined with the speed limit on Rossview that there's adequate distance to see to Rollo Lane from this proposed entrance.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Burchett. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 4? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 4? Next item is Ordinance 5, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Reach Holdings LLC. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 5? If you would give us your name and address, Mr. Kuckerberg, you have 5
My name is
minutes.
Paul Kirkeberg. I live at 2540 Gun Road. We're trying to rezone from R5 to C2 in order to, on this particular parcel, in order to gain a courtyard commercial property, in addition to helping out our residences with walkability in that area. We're trying to attract a neighborhood pub and do a new concept that we're calling micro commercial spots. A little bit smaller spots, a little bit more affordable for our entrepreneur community in Clarksville, which is absolutely thriving right now. And we very much appreciate your support.
Any questions for Mr. Kuckerberg? We have one. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here tonight, and I also wanted to thank you for speaking at the Regional Planning Commission. I was a little unsure of this when I went to the informal session, but you talking about what you were kind of looking to do there with these being a very small area, you know, for the businesses to be in and for, you know, entrepreneurs to be able to get started. I do like that. Is this also something where you're going to try and work with the residents that are going to be living in there so that if they're looking to become small business owners, they can, as was said earlier, they can kind of live, work, and play right in
Absolutely.
their own area there?
Absolutely. We're looking for anything from startups to existing businesses that might want another location. So we're completely open to working with our residents and surrounding residents.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other comment or question? Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you. And thank you for that explanation. I guess my only question is, are you planning to include walkability for the surrounding neighborhoods and areas, such as even if you decide to add sidewalks going in and out of different residential areas for them? Is that a possibility?
Well, we own the surrounding, around 28 acres there. And so our grand plan is walkability within that, and then connectivity to the east and to the west as well. There are neighborhoods. Townsend is to the east, and then Allen Chase is to the west. So we want, of course, we want that to be walkable as well.
All right, thank you.
Any other comment or question? Thank you, sir. Councilperson Smith for Mr. Kruekelberg. Mr. Kruekelberg, hang on a minute.
Thank you.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. You said something about you're gonna be building micro commercial spots,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's new. I've never heard that before, but what are the sizes and about how many?
Approximately 750 feet is what we're shooting for. They may range from 730 all the way up to 1,200 if we do a second story on them for some office spaces for the folks. But it is a new concept for us, and we're trying to get that entry level, trying to allow Clarksvillians to afford Clarksville.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 5? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 5? Next item is Ordinance 6, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Reach Holdings LLC. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 6? Mr. Kruekelberg,
I'm Paul
name and
Kruekelberg.
address, 5 minutes.
I live at 2540 Gun Road. This is just for a zone change for a parcel that is across the street from us, and it will be a sales, leasing, and management office for our condo and our commercial properties.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 6? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 6? Next item is Ordinance 7, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Adam Blick. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 7? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 7? That's okay. No, take your time. If you will, give us your name and address, and then you have 5 minutes.
Sir. My name is Emily Collins. I live at 107 Peggy Drive, but I'm involved in my lot, which is at 708 Eva Drive. When I went to the Planning Commission last week, I explained about the tiny road. I have pictures, but I heard from a couple of others that are up here that they looked up pictures of how small the road is. And how windy Eva Drive is, and then the driveways that go in. He's trying to change the one small lot that's not even a third of an acre, and make that an R3, I think he said, homes. But my understanding from him last week, they're going to be expensive homes. They're not going to be low-income homes. The people that live around there, I lived there at 710 with my mom and dad for years. My husband, when he went in the military, my dad was retired. We lived next door at 708. It's always been a small community there on that street. Everybody pretty well knows everybody. The one at 710 now is a Section 8, low income. One across the street is a low income. One around the corner is a low income. The one in between them, he's retired, he has Social Security income. The one next to them they're also on Social Security income and military retirement. My daughter lives on the lot that I have. She lives close by so she can come around the corner and help me after my husband passed. So my concern is the road is so windy and small. The buses used to stop, but then they kept getting hit by people coming around the corner at Eva. So now they stop at the end of Eva on Brenton Springs. And they still get in every once in a while, somebody will bump them. Or they can't, when they come around the corner to come in. They're supposed to stop signs out, but they don't. But you all know that. Like I said, the drives are so small. Behind where my daughter's house is, but that's the other section. We'll go there. But the road that they're trying to come into the property it's just so small. And the Lathams live next to it. My son-in-law owned the lot next to that, 7-Eleven. Nothing on it. He had planned on putting a mobile home there for low income. That's pretty much all that is around there, is low income. And now they're trying to put these expensive homes there. And we need more low income. I mean, Clarksville's growing, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've been here for over 50-something years, and I love the growth to a point. But these things popping up, even on the end of Peggy Drive where I live, they've got 3 quads there. They're not in there yet because they haven't passed codes. But they only have a little driveway too, and I think they're trying to alleviate that. But we've had accidents there already while they're working. So I know the same thing's going to happen to the one on Eva Drive. There's just not enough room when they come around that S-curve. So I asked, and I talked to Mr. Jonathan, and now that it's passed the commission, they never really got a full-scale plan on what he was going to put there. Because he said he might put 3. They should be not connected, but then now he said last week, they might be connected. Okay. There's so many fires that spit up around there with these duplexes and these homes. There's not a hydrant right there. There's a hydrant in front of my house, my lot. But I worry about that. I worry about the traffic, the overwhelming schools, the street. We need speed bumps there. Everybody has speed bumps but Peggy Drive and this part of Eva Drive. And I've asked for them for last year. But the main thing is everything's going to be overwhelmed. Those are people that have been there for a long time, and they're pretty much set in their places. And utilities, they're old. I mean, it cost me over $10,000 just to get my daughters all updated from the sewage and the water when they look. And I even have pictures of how small, but I was told that you all have those pictures. But thank you for my time.
Thank you, Ms.
Appreciate it.
Collins. Any questions for Ms. Collins? Seeing none, thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 7? If you would, please give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Paul Latham. I live at 715 Eva Drive, the place that's next to the place where you're talking about. I have lived here for 23 years in that location. Born and raised in Clarksville. Been in Clarksville since 1957. I have seen this place grow and change. Some good ideas, some bad. Some not really good. But this here is a bad idea. I've got no problem with having neighbors. But the problem is, there's no room to put other than a single family dwelling there on that lot. There's just really no reason for it or need to change that. If you start sticking people that close together in such a small area, well, you know what's going to happen. They're going to get on each other's nerves. Temperatures are going to rise. And somebody gets shot. For some reason, that seems to be pretty popular nowadays, somebody getting shot. And that's a quiet neighborhood. At night, you can hear a pin drop. It's quiet. It's safe. Kids play out in the yard. They ride their bikes. We just don't want the crime element to rise in that neighborhood. I've got no problem with neighbors, like I said. But there's only one place there that's for that single neighborhood. And only one family can live there. It's just not enough room to have more than one structure there. Sorry. Trying to
okay.
control myself here.
Please do.
But I really just hate to see the destruction it's going to cause. It has front yards. It has trees in that front yard. We're not talking about a run-down piece of property. No, they are kept nice. I mean, you go through that neighborhood. Please do. You will see everybody keeps their place neat, clean, well-maintained. So there's really no reason to go in there and just start destruction right off the bat. This is what's going to happen. The trees are going to be ripped out. The bulldozer is going to take up all the greenery. They're going to slap a building there and cover the rest of it up with concrete. That's not a home to me. The place is single for a reason. It's designed for homes, for families, not for a bunch of people all crowded together and yelling at each other when your neighbor's front door is 6 feet from yours. It's just a bad idea altogether. There's no need. Because there's surely no childish shortage over there. There's plenty of houses. That's not because anybody's got a place to live. I mean, they're popping up all over town faster than firework tents in June. And most of them are a year old and they're still empty. So why are we building more in areas that are not needed? That's really all I got to say, sir.
All right.
Just really haven't seen a real good reason to change it.
Okay, thank you. We have a question or comment. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Anybody go ahead, far away, come on.
Yes, sir.
You're right here.
Oh, there you go.
I just wanted to thank you and Ms. Collins for coming. It takes a lot of courage to stand here and have these conversations, and your voice matters. So I just wanted to tell you
I'm
that.
kind of wondering about that.
It does.
Thank you for saying that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Thank you, sir.
Cupcake lady?
I think we're done.
Okay.
Take a cupcake as you wake your way back to your seat.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, next item on our public hearing agenda list is Ordinance 8, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jonathan and Adam Blick. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 8? Anyone wish to speak against Ordinance 8? If you would give us your name and address again, and you have 5 minutes.
107 Peggy Drive, but I'm here in reference to 708 Eva Drive. This is the lot that's right where he's wanting to do. It's right behind where my daughter lives. Like he said, it's a quiet neighborhood. They have animals, they have dogs. They've already been out there when they come out there just to even look at the lot. And of course the dogs are overwhelmed. She has a German Shepherd that's about yay big. He's my fur baby. And then we have another big one. But I go over there and watch the animals sometimes while they go. So I know that they're going to be bothered. But when they built those homes on Bats Lane, those apartments, those animals that used to live over there, the deer, the raccoon, all them, have come now over into our yards. And we have deer, everything else there. The man that lives on the corner off of Britton Springs, just right next to the lots that they bought, Mr. Tom, I call him, he leaving his empty because he wants it for the animals. And the home, they tried to say that the home that they're trying to put these quads on was not abandoned. The lady, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. My daughter's husband, it was his, they used to live there. Mr. Brown lived there first, and then they lived there. And she did not abandon the home. She was very ill. Her daughter took her to live with her for a while. They came back, found out that she needed assisted living care. So they sold, we tried to buy it, but they sold it. The guy outbid us. Well, then the man was trying to get it redone, then rezoned, and y'all apparently said no. That was a while back. And so it stayed there for a while, empty. And then now it was sold again to the Blicks. And now they're wanting to put these multi-home, apartments there with all these other low-income people and people living off of Social Security there. We need some low-income apartments, not these big old fancy condos that's going to cost these people $1,800 or more. Because it's going to be just like over at Bats Lane, almost every day. And you can look at the police reports. Even when we came home Thursday, 2 incidents happened there. One guy was trying to be evicted out of that apartment because he couldn't afford it. so he hadn't paid for it for a while. The other one, they were trying to get him the police, there's like 20 of them there, because he had shot somebody. And they were trying to get him. There's shootings all the time over there off of Bats Lane. And we can hear the sirens and stuff. Other than that, it's a quiet neighborhood, and I can even hear them. I live on Peggy, just around the corner. So I ask that it just be deferred until he can give you an actual plan of what he plans on doing. Because the way he told me was now that he has his commission, the planning commission's okay, he doesn't have to do just the 3. He can do whatever he wants to. I said, no, you can't. It has to still go through the council people, and they have to go through it twice. So that's why I'm here. I'd like to get it deferred. Or I told him put a buffer wall up behind where my daughter, our lot, and over by where Mr. Latham and them live, to give them a little bit of a sound barrier and privacy from all these people that he's trying to bring in. And that's it. Thank y'all for my time.
Hang on a minute. We
Yes,
have
sir.
questions. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ma'am, I appreciate you speaking. Just kind of want to clarify a little bit with you. I know that you asked that we defer it until we have a plan. This is actually where they're requesting the zoning. So there's
Oh, okay.
this is not where they bring forward a plan. We have to approve it based on, even if they show us a plan of what they want to do, it doesn't hold anything. We don't have to, they don't still have to do it that way. After they get the zoning, then they would bring forward their plan through the Regional Planning Commission. So we have to look at it just kind of as an overall, this is what, the effect, this is what they're intending to do. I know what he had talked about at the Regional Planning Commission was that he was planning on building 2 quads. So that would be
4 quads. He said 4 quads. I had it, I wrote down notes. But 4 quads. He said he could put 9 apartments there. And the one.
that would be 2 quads.
Well, he said he could put 4 quads because it's like,
Oh,
the
okay.
quads are 8, I know. But then he said he could do a total of 9, if not 12. He said that at the meeting. And that's what surprised me with you all.
That's fine.
And
but-
I even talked to him after the meeting. He actually stopped me and we talked.
Okay, well, again, my main thing was to point out to you that, again, we're voting on the zoning, not the
Okay.
plan that comes before us. We can't, in fact, we're not allowed to put any kind of requirement on
Okay,
them
okay.
for what they'll do.
Well, I didn't know. This is the first time I've had to do this.
Not a
and-
problem.
And
That
I
was why I
thought he
wanted,
had to do that at the planning commission, but apparently he didn't have to do it there.
he did not. No, ma'am. He was bringing forward
They can
just,
build what they want.
no, ma'am. But, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have more questions. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, Ms. Collins. I just wanted to say that I did drive the neighborhood, and I understand your concerns.
Thank you.
But I do want to be very transparent, and I won't say this again when I'm ready to vote. I do plan to vote against the one on Eva Drive because the road's too narrow and they're not talking about infrastructure. But on the other road, the road is wide enough and it does support that, so I will vote because the infrastructure does support it. It would be hard for me to say no to that property.
Which one are you?
The one on,
The one we're on now.
the one that we're on now, I'm sorry, on Britton Springs. The one that faces
Not on
Britton.
Britton Springs. I mean, there's no access to Britton Springs. You have to go through Eva Drive and go down that little house there by the mobile home to get there. He does not have access to Britton Springs. See, that's what I'm saying. There's no access there. So the poor people have a reclining, it's a hill. I mean, it's an incline. I have pictures and it's an incline. And he does not have access to that. The man that lives right off of Britton Springs, that has that road right there, that's Mr. Tom. That's his property. That's private. So he has no access to Britton Springs. He has to come in off of Eva Drive, where that mobile home is, that double wide, and come down that little, it's one-way drive to get to making those apartments, unless he makes the roads bigger. I mean, I don't know how that works with y'all.
Okay. Do you have the pictures with you?
Yes, I do.
Can we,
If you'll give them to Lieutenant Gill, he'll circulate
real?
them. Thank you,
Okay.
Ms.
And I talked to Mr. Little.
Hang on, he's up next.
Okay.
Councilperson Reynolds, was that it? Okay. Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you. I did talk to you and I'm very familiar with this area. As far as Eva Drive, and you are correct. I can't see even the possibility of having that many units, and this area is good for single family.
Yes,
I agree.
I love
As far as having all these on here, as far as the units and everything like that, even the historical estimates, and you're correct, whenever the zoning comes forward to us, we just approve whatever zoning it is. In that zoning, they do have different things they can build and can't build, but we can't tell them, we can't if it does say they can have 9 units on it, even if he comes here and says, I'm only gonna build 2, he can build more than that.
Bill told me.
Depending on when he submits his plans and the streets and everything else has to be reviewed. But if everything was to work out perfectly, they could build upwards.
Exactly.
And I am against this, and I do know that area as far as like Britton Springs and the area where he's wanting to, I guess, or where the applicant is wanting to do this at, there is not an entrance or exit way to Britton Springs from that area, from what I see.
No.
It would need to go to Eva Drive, and that would be even more on Eva Drive. And even going from Eva Drive to Britton Springs is already hard enough as far as the view and being able to see traffic coming which way. And the Eva Drive is very narrow, and I've had to pass that many times, and it's not easy. And so
Yeah,
I
and the
understand.
bus has to stop down there, so, that's dangerous for the kids.
So I
already
appreciate you
had
speaking
one
with me,
hit.
and thank you for coming up here, and I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, we've got more questions for you. Councilperson Allen?
I just have one question. You said there's no access to Britton Springs from
That lot that he's
that
talking
lot
about.
right there that looks like it's in the front. But could the builder, when they decide to start building, make it access to building to Britton
I
Springs?
guess he has to get permission from the street department or whatever to put a road there,
So as it stands right now, there's no access,
There's
but
nothing.
there could be an access.
if he gets permission.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know how that works, but
Councilperson,
thank you.
Councilperson Smith?
Thank you,
you're
Mayor.
recognized.
Ms. Collins, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for coming. It took a lot of courage for you to get up and come, and you injured, but you came because you really see something that's not right. And I just want you to know that your words and what you have brought forth is not in vain, because I will be voting against this too.
Thank you.
And I hear you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, y'all. for
Thank you, Ms.
listening.
Collins.
Thank
Before
you.
we move on, Ryan Pulley, could I ask you to make it a little warmer up here? I can see it start to snow up here.
It's just you, Mayor.
Is it just me? It's my gray hair. All right, is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak against ordinance 8? Give us your name and address, and you know the drill. You have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Paul Latham, 715 Eva Drive. That's the property that's right across the road from me. Now, you've heard her talk about Bats Lane, but what happens up there? Biggest fear that it's going to filter down into our neighborhood. Everybody, like she said, are close. We're all close together there. I mean, we know each other. And we would hate to see for somebody in our neighborhood that we've been around for years get into a confrontation or have even injured with somebody. But I'm trying to understand the reason why the need to change it. I mean, is there a reason other than somebody trying to make a buck? Because it sounds like personal greed to me. That's all it is. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to try to squeeze that many places on that one little strip there. Like I said, there's no access road there, and there's only one fire hydrant for that area. Now that worries me, because once you get those big places going, bye-bye neighborhood. I mean, I just like to have a simple reason why change something that's been already well established for what, 100 years now? If anything, it should be grandfathered in where it can't be changed. It's already established as a single family neighborhood, and it really needs to stay that way. for our safety, for anybody else's. I just trying to figure out why, other than plain personal greed, it wants to be rezoned. Just give me an answer, somebody, please.
It's not our case, Mr. Latham.
It's not?
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, there you are.
Yes, Cupcake Lady. So, Mr. Latham, what I heard from you and the previous speaker, correct me if I'm wrong, the concern is that what is being proposed does not match what is currently in your neighborhood. And that is the biggest concern. You like the way that your neighborhood is now, everything there matches, everybody takes good care of their property, and your concern is that something is going to be added there that doesn't match what is already there.
Right. I really don't see what good it's going to cause. All I can see is the problems and the destruction that lays ahead. I don't see any place it's going to benefit anybody in that area. It doesn't. Just changing the zone is not going to benefit but one person. That's it. It's not helping us out at all. It's just creating more problems that we got to deal with. Of course, he doesn't, because he doesn't have to live there. We're the ones just got to work around it and deal with everything.
Thank you.
Now, you got another question?
No,
that
we're
was
done.
it. Thank you.
We're done. Thank you, sir.
All done?
We're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're now ready for ordinance 9, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of VP Riverside Development, LLC. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 9? Mr. Dellinger, give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes. I think you have a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, Bug Dellinger, Economic Development Committee, Council, CEO, and President. Just want to speak in favor of this project. I've got a couple slides here we're going to walk through. So the Economic Development Council exists to improve the economic opportunities and outcomes for the entire community. We focus on jobs, income, growth, industry, business, tourism, and housing. Focus for, in our outside the industrial park is really on our downtown core, from Riverside Drive all the way to Red River. So that core that goes right down the center of College Street and Wilma Rudolph is really very important to the development of Clarksville and what we're trying to do from a quality of life standpoint. So as we look at this project, I'm just not going to spend a lot of time on it, but as we analyze what the economic impact is, we're looking at this as if this was a ball field with 2,500 seats, a hotel with 100 keys, a brewery or about 65,000 square feet of retail, and a multifamily units of about 330. And so this current property is completely underutilized. As a matter of fact, the 30 acres that is the Charles Hand property, formerly the Vulcan property, is not used at all at this time. The property taxes paid to the city on this particular 30 acres is only $2,700 a year. And as I walk through the economic impact, you'll see that there's a big economic impact for the city and for Montgomery County. And we look at this project as a gateway project at the entrance into our downtown core. So as you would come up Red River and you would start to see this project right by Craft Street, and it would open up and it would integrate and connect to Austin P, go over the hill down into the downtown core along College Street and connect to historic Clarksville and go all the way to the river. So we see this as a catalyst project for just not the 30 acres that it sits on, but the overall 105 acres, which is the Vulcan Frosty Morn Redevelopment District. As I mentioned, the property taxes right now are $2,700 a year for the city. If this project develops as it's designed conservatively, it will increase the taxes by 140 times. So the potential taxes to come off this property to get it all in play, just this 30 acres could be as high as $492,000. The hotel motel tax benefit, just 100 units would increase the economic impact of hotel motel and our visitors by $10 million a year. And that's an economic impact from just not hotel motel taxes, but also the retail, the restaurants, and the other activity that would be brought to our downtown core. And because this is walkable to many of our residents, we we predict that this project would create, just on this 30 acres, 300 additional jobs for the people that live in this area. These are walkable jobs. At least 10% of these are going to be salary jobs, not hourly jobs. And it has another big economic impact in terms of creating more job opportunities for people to walk to in this specific area. So as we look at this, we ask that, you take this under consideration to approve this mixed unit PUD. By the time that if you agree to the components of this project, then we can start analyzing what the true cost and true revenue of what can be generated beyond the taxes, and take a look at what the total cost is and how the developer is going to develop this project. At this time, the last bullet's important here, the IDB has not been approached for any TIF on this project. It's been anecdotally discussed, but until we know what the cost of the project is going to be and what the revenue generated beyond, not the taxes, but the revenue for rents and the revenue for rental rents and the revenue for the project, the formal TIF conversation and any discussion about eligible expenses is just not there. So I'll stand by for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dellinger. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Dellinger. First of all, want to say thank you for your mentioning of the walkable jobs. I know one thing I mentioned last week was the ability for people to be able to work right in there, but I mean, you actually went a little bit further and more how I should have even been thinking when I was talking there. When you're referring to the walkable jobs, it's even outside of this particular development, but neighborhoods that are already there.
Right.
Also appreciate your thought with the seniors. Anybody that knows me, I love going to baseball games, and many of baseball games I've been to, often the ushers that are there, helping people, verifying their tickets, that they're in the right section, that type of thing. They are older individuals. That's what they're enjoying being there, and they're getting paid to do it as well. One question I have for you is about, because this is a long process, without a doubt. About when did you, and you said others have, talked to you about the area, this is the only one that included a stadium. When did you all start working with these particular developers?
This was maybe January, February of
Okay.
this year, so 7 or 8 months ago.
Okay.
The first project that was anticipated here, that had a letter of intent, was single-family rental properties on that, and then it didn't come to fruition. It really did. It was a process, and we weren't in big favor of it. But Mr. Hand had a LOI with them, and it just dissolved because it didn't work for them, and we let it go, and we were kind of glad to that, because that wouldn't have had the economic impact that a project like this would have had if that was just single-family detached rental homes on 30 acres, and it wouldn't have had the effect on the additional 70 acres that surround the 30 acres. So the overall Vulcan Frosty Morin district is 105 acres. So that's on both sides of Craft Street, that's on both sides of College Street, Wilma Rudolph. And that project wouldn't have the impact that this one would have. So we're in favor of this one.
Okay. And then I just want to make sure I did hear you correctly on this. You said you project this to be about 300 jobs that we
Yes.
would be adding.
Right. Because you've got your hotel, you got your mixed multifamily management and maintenance, and then you've got the operations of the retail and the operations of the baseball stadium.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I think it's good to talk about this as a multi-purpose outdoor facility, because there's more than just baseball that can be contemplated on this project.
Sorry, I tend to think baseball a lot. I apologize.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Dillinger, for coming forth. I know it's a little hard, but you made it. My concern is the traffic in the area. That's one of my main concerns, and the hotel. That's
Right.
another concern. And another thing I want to ask is, have you all tried to meet with any of the constituents or of my constituents in the area, in the residential area? Have the VIP partners met with anybody?
I'll leave it. I have not met with that group but the developers might have.
No, they haven't.
Okay.
Not per my.
Okay.
Okay, and so, when y'all put this together, it was just whose idea? Their idea, and you working together?
It's just their idea.
Okay, but you agree with it, so.
We're in favor of this project. It's got a
So-
big impact.
are they going to widen College Street? I understand, I was told, by Mr. Tyndall the other day that, there was 5 lanes on College Street. After some investigation of my own, and I called the street department and spoke with the engineer there. And I asked him how long was the turning lane there on College Street to make that a 5 lane. He told me that it was about 275 feet. That's how much of it is considered 5 lanes. And I said, well, how much of that is considered close to a mile? He said only 5%. A mile is 5,208 feet. So we can't say that that's 5 lanes on College Street, with only 5% of that being a turning lane. And so my concern for my constituents and the residents in that area, we are concerned about the traffic. We're concerned about police calls. We know that there have been many calls to police departments from a one up the hill, not far from it. So how are y'all looking at this just for the money? Because I heard you talk about increase in taxes 140 times the amount, because we're paying, y'all are paying, whoever's paying $2,700 now, property taxes. I heard about $10 million a year for something. I just keep hearing money, 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 but we're leaving out the most important people who live in that area. And we're also not looking at the whole picture. We're just looking at money, dollar signs. But when I talked to Mr. Glover, he said that he could not afford all of that property, so he sold half of it to the person who's going to build the apartments. Is that correct?
I'll let you ask the developer about that. I believe he's going to speak to any of your questions after I take
Okay.
my
It
seat.
seemed like you ought to know that. You said you
Well,
worked with him.
I do.
Okay.
I mean, that's,
You just don't wanna
that's,
answer. Okay.
well, I'll let him answer the question. I mean,
Yeah,
That's fine. But I'm just saying, we need to make sure we meet with the residents in that area before we make a big decision like this. Because I know that Poston Street, you can't get out of that area. You can't get out. And it's my understanding that we're only want to do half of the street and not the whole street. And I'll keep saying that because I live in that area. And so I know it's all about money. And because you quoted so many millions of dollars here and there.
and that money is your money. It's not my money, it's
Well,
the city's
if you're
money.
using tax increment money, it's our money, yes. If you're gonna build a hotel, you're building a hotel, right?
Yes, ma'am, and the tax proceeds will go to the city.
But we don't wanna leave out the residents not being satisfied in that area and being able to have peace and safety in their neighborhoods. We don't wanna leave that out. Those are the issues I'm concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Hi, sir, how are you?
Good, ma'am.
I just would like to backtrack a little bit about the hotel and the jobs, 320 jobs. And I think at one point you said there's only 10% of the jobs. We've talked about this before, that I still have a concern that these are not living wages for Clarksville. So I just want to make sure that I understand that they are bringing jobs, but I just want the community to know that I recognize that probably only 10% of those jobs probably won't even be enough to live, work, and play there. But we're not really creating a living wage community, right? I mean, let's just be honest. The people that work there will not live there, technically,
Right.
by wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Very few of them. And I will divert to the builder as you indicated, but I too have questions about college, but I will, by your direction, ask the builder that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's probably, he's the best to talk exactly of how the turn lanes and the stacking lanes and what's being contemplated with the street department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dellinger. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 9? If you would, give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Todd Glover. I'm with VP Riverside, the applicant for the rezoning before you tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I know I've spoken with several of you and do want to address any questions that you may have. We do see this as a transformational gateway project for Clarksville. We've been very excited about this. The question did come up about where the idea originated, and the initial brochure picture that we saw, I believe, was actually the idea of Leadership Clarksville that actually envisioned a baseball sports complex there. And so we'd certainly like to give a nod to Leadership Clarksville and their vision for this several years ago. I do want to apologize because I felt like there was miscommunication early on. And so any part that we may have played in that and not conveying the message clearly early on, I want to apologize for. The hotel, the retail, and the multifamily are 100% privately funded. We never intended for any TIF dollars to go towards those projects at all. If there's any benefit to any of it, it's the streetscaping that we'll be doing, the traffic, any traffic mediation that we do as a result of the traffic impact study. But they're 100% fully privately funded. And so if we did not communicate that clearly early on, I apologize for that. And I regret that Buck and Janet took the brunt of any of that, because they've been fantastic to deal with since we've been working with them in early January. I do want to address the issues that we've heard at the Planning Commission. Mainly, we've heard about traffic. I know I've had conversations with several of you about that. The traffic impact study that we submitted as a requirement of the rezoning application does call for a number of traffic mitigation issues. We do have a turn lane that we would be installing. There will be a traffic light at Hornberger that we think would provide a substantial amount of traffic assistance along College, and that it will break up traffic as it stops people. It will provide people further down the road to have opportunities to turn in and on to and off of College. We have provided to you a drawing of our sidewalks. These are 8-foot sidewalks, not your standard 4-foot sidewalks, because walkability is very important to us. There's the old saying that you don't build a church for your Christmas and Easter crowd, and we did not build parking for the Christmas and Easter crowd. We are counting on folks to walk there, to utilize the public transportation in your city. We've provided a pull-off for I believe it's CTS buses, so that they can get out of traffic, so people can safely get off of the public transportation and access the project. We also it is very difficult to see in our submission, but we do have sidewalks on Red River Street that go around the back part of the development. It's very important for us that the people in the surrounding community be able to get there safely. And that's whether they're coming there to enjoy an event at the Sports and Entertainment Complex, or they are indeed employed there. We are looking at a realignment of Red River Street and College Street. We know that's a bit of an awkward intersection there. We have, our property kind of comes to a point there, so we think we could shave a little bit of that off and make that a T intersection. I know that was a concern for a lot of folks. It's very important for us to have people safely access the development. And I also want to point out that one of the things we've heard from the surrounding community and from several people is that the area is a food desert. And so we have been actively recruiting some type of retail there that would address the food desert issue, whether that's a bodega, We can also, in the sports and entertainment complex, have weekends farmers markets to provide fresh produce to folks in the area, and is a lot of other
Time's
programs.
up, Mr. Glover.
Yes,
Hang
sir.
on, we do have questions.
Yes.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you addressing the issue right there with the intersection of Red River and College Street. I know I reached out to you and talked to you about that a few days ago, and also have talked some with the street department and that, and trying to shave off that, as well as maybe look at some other options with that there that would allow for easier entry and exit, because it's difficult even as it stands today, you know, much less having more on there. And I think that would, obviously, we're talking a small amount right there that would by far fit within the 10% changes that could be made, and that would be something that would be beneficial. I know one of the questions that I asked of Mr. Dillinger was when you all started meeting with them, and that was, you know, he stated it was January, I think he said January, February. Obviously, this is something that took a long time to come to fruition. I would assume, as in anything, that there are contracts involved and deadlines. A lot of changes would, of course, require it to go back to the RPC. What would a delay do to this project?
It would kill it. We're out of time. We are up against our contracted amounts of time. We have our partners that we've identified for multifamily. We're finalizing our partners for the hotel now, but we are running out of time. And so if this is going to come to fruition, we need to
Move on this tonight.
move on this quickly.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for taking the time to discuss that with me the other day. I really appreciate that. And as well as looking for trying to get in some grocery opportunity, because of the fact, I mean, without a doubt, our entire downtown area is a food desert. We could use, you know, various places to be able to be in there. Also, one other question. I know it's not, you're not involved really, you're not the one developing the hotel, but can you talk any about what type, I'm not looking for a brand name, anything like that. What type of hotel is it that's being planned for there?
More than likely, it'll be a limited service hotel, similar to the ones you see out near Exit 4. The newer hotels, 3 to 4 story in heights, 100 to 120 keys. Mostly affordable in that $100 to $140 a night.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Glover, for being here tonight. I'm really excited about the prospects of having a minor league baseball team that we can go
Let's say
to.
professional baseball.
Professional. Okay. And I noticed that in Oak Grove, the gaming and racetrack and the hotel there, next to the parking lot, they do have a small RV park there. Do you know if there's any plans to put a small RV park for those that are going to be coming out of town?
At this time, we have not applied for any RV parking in the PUD application.
Okay. Thank you and good luck. I hope it passes for you.
Thank you.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Glover. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
My concern is, I have many, and you know we talked.
Yes, ma'am.
Talked about the traffic, and that's my main concern. It's one of the main concerns. You said that the impact study that you, that was completed requires that you put in a turning lane. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that gonna go all the way up College Street, or it's just gonna go halfway the street? Because it's only 5% of a mile right now.
College Street's a long street. I mean, I
No,
think
I'm talking
it's,
from Nath Street, up the street. Nath and College, starting there.
which, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
I'm sorry, Nath and College.
9th in College.
I think, okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Our engineers are here, and I would need to, just to make sure that I don't give you incorrect information, I would need to have them prompt me on the length
Okay.
of the
So we
turning
get back
lanes.
to that.
We have that information,
Okay.
I don't know it.
And, so you feel that a traffic light is going to help us to get out of our neighborhood onto College? Just a traffic light.
In that you don't have anything now breaking up that traffic to provide you that when you're looking for that opportunity to turn out onto College, you don't have that break in traffic that a traffic light would provide. So part of the benefit further down from that traffic light would be those breaks in traffic that we give people coming off the side streets that are not signalized, would provide them easier access to College.
Well, we do have a traffic light, not far from coming out of Poston, and it
Right.
is still hard to get out of there. It backs the traffic up so far. So you think that adding one traffic light is gonna help the traffic?
I do, and I'd also like to point out that the uses that we've applied for in the PUD are low-intensity uses. If, on a parcel of 30 acres that size where it is, had we applied for, say, big box retail, you would have a number of trips per day for cars, but a third of the site now is residential, so you're gonna have just the people who are living there going in and out of that area. The hotel, you might have people checking in or checking out, but you're not gonna have a large retail store that's generating multiple trips a day. As far as the sports and entertainment complex, those would be on nights and weekends, so we're not gonna have the impact or the intensity of traffic that you may have, say, in your early morning rush hours or in your evening time. So the uses that we've applied for in the PUD, we feel like were, while it still makes a very good mixed-use project, they were very not as traffic intensive as, say, perhaps a large big box
Well,
development.
if you're planning to build 330 units, we will always have an impact on our traffic.
That's
That
correct.
would
You're
be-
you're gonna have additional, what they call ADT, average daily trips, but, you're gonna have the people who are coming and going from their home, not say perhaps, like a Walmart or a Target where you have hundreds of people every hour coming in
Well,
and
you got
out.
the ball field, which every weekend, so probably we would have
Sure,
something going
absolutely.
on. And
There's-
that's gonna bring in more traffic, people from out of town coming to the hotel, so there's gonna be an in and out traffic.
If you look at the traffic impact study, it does reflect that the majority of the traffic generated by this project is in off-peak hours.
But I say this, I just think that, the traffic is still gonna make a harsh impact, in the area. And then, you said that you're gonna build sidewalks around Red River Road. Is that gonna be all the way around Red River, or is that just part of Red River?
Well, it goes around to the extent of the property that we control. So it would go down College, and I would add that you currently have that 4-foot sidewalk on College. We're proposing a planting strip and then an 8-foot sidewalk, just to give people who are walking along that area a little bit more sense of safety and security as they walk down that, which is right now a very small sidewalk. And then that would continue, if you go down College towards the university, it would go up Red River Road and all the way
No, I'm
back.
talking about Red River Street, you turn onto Red River.
Right,
off of
from College. So we go up College, continue up Red River Street, and go all the way back to
Wait a minute.
basically the,
Excuse me, you're losing me. 'Cause
okay, I'm sorry.
College Red River it runs out to College. You saying go up College.
What I'm saying is that sidewalk that I'm telling you about, the planted strip and the 8-foot sidewalk, would run the entirety of the frontage on College
Just the
of
frontage.
our project. It would then proceed from College up Red River Street, all the way around the boundary of our project. So there would be sidewalks on Red River Street on the back side of the Vulcan property.
Okay, now, okay. Also, why, and I wanna know, and the constituents wanna know, why would y'all not meet with the residents in that area?
We have no issue at all meeting with the residents of the area. At this point, we have tried to respect the process of the Planning Commission and this council. We have not spoken to the media. I know the media got a hold of this once the press The press release for the Planning Commission came out, a number of press stories came out. We were contacted by TV stations in Nashville and newspapers. We have not issued one statement because we have tried to respect the process of the Planning Commission and Council. We are more than happy because we expect for the surrounding community to be very proud of what we're doing. And we have absolutely no issues in meeting with those folks and getting their
Would you
input.
still be willing to do that?
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
100%.
Okay, and then you said, you mentioned something about running out of time. What kind of time are you running out against?
Well, when you enter into a contract for property, you have diligence periods, you have contracting periods, and
So
then
you already have a contract in place with the builders? Is that what you're saying? You're running out of time with the?
We have a purchase and sell agreement with the owners of the Vulcan
Oh,
property.
okay, okay. You haven't purchased the property?
We have not completed, we have not closed on the
Oh,
property
I see.
because it would be premature if we can't do
No, I thought
what
the
we
deal was
intend to do.
closed. I didn't know. I mean,
So,
I thought the
yeah.
deal was closed. I didn't know.
So that's why I'm saying we have a diligence period and then you enter into approvals and closing period. So we're entering as we entered into that contract back in the January, February timeframe where we began talking with EDC, we're running to the tail end of that diligence period. And so we need to be able to know if we're going to be able to do the things that we've applied for. And if not, we would just have to drop the contract.
Redo it or let it go.
Correct.
Okay. So you're saying you're not using TIF money now for the hotel and all of that?
We never intended to, and that's why I apologize for any confusion that may have been caused on our part. At this point, we never intended it for the multifamily. If we do utilize any TIF money right now, it would be because the traffic and traffic improvements and things of that on the site. It would not go into the pockets of the hotel developers, the retail, or the multifamily. The TIF money that we have been 100% focused on was whether or not we could fund the sports and entertainment complex through the TIF dollars.
And so the person that will be building the apartments, they would have the opportunity to use TIF money, but not you all.
I will make that to you publicly tonight. They are not availing themselves to the TIF dollars.
Because I know you say you sold a part of to them.
The plan is to
You don't own
sell.
all of it. Half you own some, and then the people that own that bought the apartments, they own that. So you can't really tell them what to do. Because y'all are not partners.
Well, I know that they don't have an intent to, and I will say it publicly, they will not be applying for TIF dollars.
Okay. I just want this on the record.
I'm glad to put it happy to put it on the record. It's, that was never our intent, and I think that miscommunication has kind of led us down, a different pathway, and I regret that. But they never intended to and will not, and I'm happy to say that publicly.
Only thing I have to say is this, I'm kind of sad that, when you first thought about this idea that you didn't contact or try to get in contact with the residents of that community, to try to get some input from us as well. And we have done stuff like this, where the community, gives input, into, the design, not the design, but the layout, or what they would like to see, I should say, what they would like to see in that community. And I understand your concerns, and I hope that you understand mine.
Sure, absolutely.
No hard feelings.
None.
And just want to make sure we're
Sure.
clear.
Yeah.
And I'm against that hotel. You know that, and this brewery.
And I told you, I disagree on that, but that's, respectfully, that is your prerogative, absolutely.
Okay then. Well, thank you, Mr. Glover.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Hi, Mr. Glover, I'd like to thank you for meeting with me in person a few months ago, and then on the phone. I appreciate your willing to talk about things. So I'd like to just verify a couple things that you've said so far before we go further. Lisa, Miss Canfield, excuse me. Can you display page 27 of the ordinance, or at least Mr. Dellinger's previous map that he had up while we're speaking. Either one of those is fine. You verify that you're gonna be building
Madam
it in
Clerk,
three.
for the record, excuse me, Councilperson Reynolds. Madam Clerk, for the record, please display that. Councilperson Reynolds?
I'm sorry, did I not say please? I apologize.
No, it's not a please, it's the chair controls.
Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So, you verify that it's gonna be built in 3 sections and that your group plans to do the baseball field, right? So
That's correct.
That's the
Yes.
overall. And, so you will not really be in charge of what's decided in the other areas after the PUD is approved
Well, we will, but through contract.
through contract, okay?
In that we plan to have a unified design theme throughout the entire, we don't want the hotel and the multifamily to look as if they were planned in different rooms, and this needs to have a cohesive plan and look to it, and so through contract, we will control certain aspects of it.
But just for the community, you are only legally required to do what we vote on tonight on the PUD, right? So whatever is pushed in, whatever is documented in this PUD, that's what you are legally required to do.
I believe that's correct. I might have
Yes.
to look to your city attorney for that, but I believe that's correct.
So with this, when you actually, if you go to the ordinance itself that was submitted, the sidewalk, the map shows that we're voting on tonight, shows that the multi-use 8-foot sidewalk is only in the front and around the corner. And then at the back entrance, it narrows down to a regular sidewalk, which only goes around the back to the entrance. You do not have a multimodal path surrounding the perimeter of this property.
Well, I
according to
noticed
the
it
map.
stops at that secondary entrance. And if we need to continue it down just a little further, I believe to the Foundry's property, we could do that. But I don't know that the sidewalk behind the Foundry really gains us any.
But on the right-hand side of as you're looking at it at the top along Red River, I mean, that would, even if they come back in and widen that road, it would still be nice for me not to, if I'm riding my bike in, or if I'm coming up from the upcoming proposed Frosty Moore complex, there's no place for me, if you're really encouraging, walkability and rideability, there's no place for me to get on my bike and come around to this complex, to the baseball game. Or I can't ride on, because eventually we would want to connect down to the bike path in our community.
Sure.
And so we're not.
Well, our property does not go all the way back out to Red River.
But if
There's a strip of parcel. But if there's any way that we can connect through sidewalk to the outside, we're happy to do so.
I'm just surprised that you didn't circle the whole property, because if I'm riding my bike coming in from different areas, I'm not necessarily going to come up College. I'm going to come up through the back roads, because College you can't ride a bike on, and you didn't circle the whole property. So that's one thing. And then I would like to talk about the traffic study. I read it a couple times. I'm not going to pretend to understand it all. So, but I did understand that counts were taken from June 1st until June 7th, which means that APSU was not in session when we did this traffic study. The study referenced peak hours, but there are approximately 10,000 students and 2,000 staff members at APSU, and their trips, 12,000 people a day, were not counted in this traffic study. Also, the traffic study did not include the upcoming Frosty Moore project, the F&M Arena, and the proposed and upcoming Performance Arts Center. All of these cars and traffic are going to come down College. So just to count your trips and what you estimate is a silo in our community that we continue to do, I feel that if we're going to do a TIF, if we're going to do a PUD, and we're looking to the future, we truly need to put a turn lane all the way down every time we touch craft. And just incrementing because the way that it is now, in the future, I'm gonna have to come down and take someone else's property to widen that road, because we didn't do it up front when you did it. Or, at the very least, have you leave it in front for us to widen that road later, because it's coming, and if you drive, furthermore, I'm not sure if anybody else noticed, numbers were taken from the traffic study used 2017 Clarksville Department numbers for the College Street and Craft Street intersection. We didn't redo that intersection in those numbers for this traffic study. I think I drive there, and there's times that traffic now is backed all the way up and I can't get in and out. So that 2017, I don't even know that you can fool with that, guesstimate that number to what's really happening in today's number. So I was surprised when I really studied this that we do not continue the turn lane from Craft to the end to 9th Street as part of this project. It is what we keep doing in our community, is backing our traffic up. It is very short-sighted. So, did you talk about these things anywhere?
We've discussed a multitude of transportation issues, but again, I can only rely upon what the professional licensed engineers provide us back in their study. I'm not an engineer. I don't pretend to be one, and we relied upon their professional opinion in what they submitted.
The other thing that I noted was the wording of your landscape plan stated, a landscape plan is required at final PUD showing all landscape, plantings, hardscape, and major furnishings, including streetscape along College Street. So you're only gonna, I'm surprised, why would you not also present for Red River in that area?
I believe we're also required to have screening around the entirety of the project. So I believe we show it on several of the drawings that we have tree plantings around the entirety of the property.
But the drawings, yes, but the wording of the ordinance says no, otherwise.
And I would have to, Hal Clark is our architect, our landscape architect, so I'd have to defer to him.
So if it's not in writing, and you're not, you're here saying this, but you're not the one in 4 or 5 years that will be coming forward. They'll be coming forward with what is in this PUD. I support the PUD, and I support PUDs. But I support them because we get in writing what we want. And I don't think that I think there's a couple, especially Craft Street, widening of Craft Street is honestly, it's a stopper for me. I'm just gonna be clear. Otherwise, I would vote yes. That and the sidewalk all the way around. But again, if it's not in writing, it doesn't happen. And I've learned that more than once sitting in this chair. So I appreciate you acknowledging some of those things. Oh, excuse me. And the right-hand turn onto Red River by Clarksville Fasteners. That's a very dangerous corner. I'm surprised that wasn't part of a turn lane, and to go in there was not part of the conversation. That was also, I drove that this weekend, and if that's not fixed, that is really an injustice to the people that live in the community behind there.
Well, the last thing is, we want a successful development there, and we need it to be accessible and easily accessible. So happy to take a look at realigning that intersection there.
Right, and the only way that I can get that is to defer this legally. If I vote as this is, then I don't have legal standing.
I think we actually have to bring back each use as a major site plan for approval on each piece, if I understand that correctly from Mr. Tyndall, that actually each of those pieces, they will drill down on as we submit each piece for major site plan approval.
But in our past, in our community, and I'm sure it's not the same in all communities, they will reference this and say, that's not part of the PUD, I don't legally have to do this. So that's my concern.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Hello, Mr. Glover.
How are you?
So you asked me, when we were talking on the phone, you asked me a question, and I'll tell you what my answer is after we have a few little conversation.
Okay.
So my first question is, timeline wise. Okay, so we know that due diligence period is almost over, right? Can you give me a timeline? If this passes tonight, what does the timeline look like from here?
We're gonna need, first and second reading in short order, so that our multifamily and our hotel partners can commit, so that we can move into the closing stages of the contract. We run out of due diligence period in September. And so if we don't have commitments, soon, and if we go all the way into September for second reading, and they have literally a week to make equity decisions, bank decisions on borrowing, it's just not enough time. And so we really have a condensed timeline now.
Okay, so if this passes tonight and then it's condensed down to another night and then that's done, zoning is done, you'll get your commitment from your other people and the whole deal will close.
We have the ability to extend closing. We would anticipate first part of 24.
First part of 24, and then you'll come back and you'll do all the final plat and all that other stuff. So building will start.
Realistically, if we close in early 24, you'll have 6 to 8, 9 months worth of design work that has to be done, which will take you into late 24. By the time construction starts, if it starts in late 24, you'll have 12 to 14 months of construction on the hotel, the apartments, the sports complex. So I think earliest timeline you're looking at these opening is, if everything just fell into place, late 25, but more than likely I would say that we're trying to get first quarter 26.
Okay, and the first phase is the multifamily housing.
Well, we'd like for the multifamily housing and the hotel to be going simultaneously. The retail portion is the part that we're the furthest behind on. And then we would have to also get the sports complex being designed and planned. Those are 3 big projects being built at the same time, so you have to coordinate lay down yards and access and things of that nature. So I think ultimately we would try to have all of those pieces done, completed within 18 to 24 months of each other.
Okay, and my last question is, I know we talked about the whole TIF thing and everything like that, so I'm not going to get into that. But the question I didn't ask you is, what price range are we looking at for those apartments? Are we looking at what price range are we looking at? Are they going to be $350 a month, $3,500 a month? Are they going to be $2,000 a month? Are they going to be $1,500? What are we looking at?
They're doing their early models now. As I told you, we are parceling off that piece, the 13 acres. We are selling that to a multifamily group. At this point, they have to go price construction. The interest rates are going up.
Right.
They are market rate apartments. I would say that.
But not market rate for that area.
I would not consider these.
Would it be
I would not
market rate for that
consider
area?
these luxury apartments.
Okay.
But I don't think it's not going to. It's going to be over that
Middle of the road.
I mean, if I tell you something, I regret that I could be incorrect, and I don't want you to say, well, you told me this, and I just don't know. I would say that if you looked at other new construction market rate apartments in Clarksville, then I would say that they're going to be in that range.
Okay. All right. Those are my only 2 questions. You got my vote?
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you. I know you've been up there for a while, so I want to make it real quick. As far as engaging, the community around you, there's a lot of neighborhoods that are lower income. Do you have any ideas, steps, or commitments that you would be making to the surrounding community? I know you said walkability and them coming there to work, but what outside of that, as far as like giving back to that community that's that you're taking part in?
That's a great question, and I've spoken to many of you, and I don't remember, it may have been Councilwoman Allen that I said this to. There's a difference between being invested in the community and investing in the community, and we want to be invested in the community. And that sports complex, we're going to be investing in the community. We're going to be invested and visible. We're going to be having summer camps for kids, day camps. We know that childcare is an issue when school's not in session. We're going to have farmers markets to make sure that people have access to farm goods. A family of 4 can attend that game cheaper than they can go see a movie or go to any professional sports venue. We are going to be a part of that community. And I think the people there will be proud of it. It's not going to be something that's going to be a detriment to it. We think the university, the kids from the university, I say kids, I have 2 kids of my own that are in college and are out of college, but we think it's going to be an asset that's utilized by the entire community, but especially the surrounding community, and that it's going to be affordable and walkable. And it's going to be a better part of their quality of life. It's not going to detract from it.
All right, thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, you answered one of the questions I did forget to ask, because I had meant to ask you about that. With having a professional team here, would they, be able to have summer camps? Because, I mean, that would be so great for those kids to be able to work with those professional players, and I think they would really enjoy that. Also, a couple of things. One, I mean, it was my understanding that you all everybody involved worked together with obviously the RPC, but worked with our CTS. That was how this came about with the pull-off. But you also worked with the street department through all of this and the planning of it, correct?
Yes, I believe every department in the city weighed in on the PUD application. We took part in the pre-application process, and then we received the comments back from all of the departments, and the planning department was fantastic. I'm a former city manager. I worked in local government for 26 years. I've worked with a number of places, and your planning staff is top notch.
Well, and some of these things came about from working like with the street department.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of the pieces in here.
A lot of those requirements were put in. I believe the right in, right out closest to craft was a compromise, mainly for public safety access.
That was what I understood, that was one of the pieces that came about from them. Also, you're only purchasing or contracted for the parcel as we see it. You're not contracted to have the parcels around it that extend further. I know there was a lot of mentioning of widening other areas, but y'all won't have ownership of any of the other parcels beyond exactly what you're doing on here, correct?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
And we don't have, and that's not being evasive, we don't have any plans to purchase any, but
Okay.
this is transformational. We reserve that option to purchase additional property.
I do believe this is something that'll be transformational. I think this is something that'll be a catalyst for other parts of this district that, we've determined here. And then last, I know there's been talk about the sidewalks on College Street being much wider than the ones along Red River. But you are putting the sidewalks in along there, and those are, as you said, those are still standard size, right? You just chose to go even further on that aspect for the front, correct?
That is correct. We have a topo issue on the backside. If y'all know, on that Vulcan property, the Red River Street is much higher than the property, and there's a pretty steep slope down to the property. As we move out, if we start making those sidewalks too much larger, we're going to have to put a retaining wall around the entirety of the backside of the property to make sure that those sidewalks don't give way. And so that would be extremely, extremely expensive. And so we're trying, we'll do what we can within the confines of what's there, but there is a topo issue on the backside.
I think that would take away from the look of it all as well, too. So thank you. I appreciate it. I meant the large retaining wall, I think, would block a lot of it there. So thank you.
Councilperson Markey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing, because I wanted to give you the time to discuss the food situation. Your time had run out earlier, and you didn't finish the thought process. So I just wanted you to kind of go into a little bit more detail about that.
Okay. This certainly would not be a big box Kroger or large. We just don't have the space or the parking availability for a large grocery store, but we are cognizant of the fact that it is a food desert. And that was from the very first day when we met with the mayor. And so we are looking at whether it's a smaller type of retailer like a Trader Joe's or even a bodega. And I know in our conversation, perhaps a bodega where we have just a small store that has convenience items, staples, things of that nature. So we have a number of options in front of us, but that is our number one goal for that retail area, is to have some type of food option for the local community.
Yes. And then, because with, Red River being there, and even Austin Pete, having them so close, they could access it a lot easier than any other part of town, especially you have students and elderly out there who don't drive. So
Correct.
it would be a big help to them to have some type of access to the foods. So I do like that. I also will say that I like the 8-foot sidewalks, because I think that sidewalks on very busy intersections should be 8 feet. It is puzzling to me, and going down Fort Campbell, that those itty bitty sidewalks the state put in, I think they should have been wider, and I do like that this is wider because it does improve safety and prevent incidents with pedestrians. So I do like that. Sidewalks are very expensive, so thank you. And then same thing with that traffic light. A lot of people do say that they want traffic lights put up at intersections, and then they do cost a lot. So I do like the fact that you guys would chip in for that, because again, that is also something that's very expensive to put in. But yeah, thank you for having a conversation with me and answering a lot of questions here tonight.
Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, sir. I wanted to bring something back up with my city council people, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to also be part of the conversation when I talk about this.
Thank you.
Just so you know that. I didn't want to wait till you sat down and then have you not be able to respond. So we talked about this area being transformational. That's word has been thrown around over and over again. We have other plans to continue to go in and expand and do things in this community. But at the same point, we are not widening College, our main thoroughfare, as we continue to be transformational in our downtown area. This is very short-sighted. I appreciate the PUD and I support it, but I cannot vote for it. I plan to request to defer it. I understand the pain of that, but this is what we continue to do, is kick the can down the street for our communities instead of fixing it as we go. And I just want to remind you that everybody here almost, or several people, use the word transformational. If we're looking at an area that is transformational, we owe it to the residents that we're transforming to make sure that at least they have a wide enough road and that they can get in their community. I'd also like to talk about the Red River, and I know that you said that you wanted to be invested and work with the area, but we're not taking care of Red River. We've decided not to improve the Red River, even though people will traverse that road looking for parking because there's not as much there, or looking for a place to park to ride their bike in. And eventually, if and when we decide a sidewalk, that means we're going to have to go back and take the people across the street, we're going to have to take their property to widen the road and to put in a sidewalk, because eventually we're going to transform that neighborhood and there's just going to be too much traffic. And instead of addressing that now, as we're working on this, that's another can that we're kicking down the road. And I have concerns.
Well, I just don't think, for the earlier issues I stated on topography, I don't think it's actually feasible on either side of the road there's a very steep topo up on the neighborhood side of Red River and steep down on the Vulcan property side. So you're either building out over the property that there is now with retaining walls. I mean, those are serious retaining walls when you're building roads that trucks and cars are driving over. I don't actually think you could go to the neighborhood side because I don't think you could knock those hills down enough to actually get level with the current street.
And that's why I'm surprised that I don't see a bike path that cuts back through and out to the other side, around and avoid. I understand what you're saying, but at some point, I think coming down through and making sure that there was a 8-foot path all the way around, and then cutting back and around and back out if we can't get it along the road. Otherwise, how am I going to ride my bike?
As I said, we are happy to include any piece of that we need to make it accessible.
Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, I have you down as you've spoken twice,
Okay, I thought during questions we could do more.
just twice. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Glover, appreciate you.
Thank you.
As you know, I'm still against that hotel, okay? And, my concern is this, and I would hope that we would defer this because, as I heard someone say, you spoke with the Regional Planning Commission, you work with everybody except the community. You didn't get any input from me until you wanted to meet with me, but I still would like to have the residents to give some input and base their concerns on what you have already set up. So I would like, if you could set up a meeting with the community before we vote this in. I would rather we defer this.
I will say, I think the word was mentioned, painful, if we deferred it. It's not painful, it's terminal.
But it's painful if you go forward without any of us hearing or trying to give some input or letting you know what we feel too. It's painful for us because we know that we're gonna have to deal with a lot of traffic. We're gonna have to deal with more crime. We're gonna have to deal with no safety because you can't put sidewalks all around the area. So, you know, it's painful for us as well. More painful because we have to live there for the rest of our lives.
Is that a question?
It's a statement.
Okay.
So that's all I'm saying. No disrespect to you, okay? So
None taken.
just trying to do business here, not as a politician, but as someone who care about their community and the people that live there, okay?
Well, as I stated, if we build this and the folks around it don't support it, then that's not a very good business practice on our
Right.
part. And so
Right.
we have a vested interest in making sure that they support it, and we
Right.
will.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Glover.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 9? If you would give us your name and address, you have 5 minutes.
Hi, Mayor. Rashida Leverett, 835 Gracie Avenue. I was absolutely against this, and I think you all have received my emails for the reasons that I stated. Mayor, I want to first and foremost thank you and the City Council for your diligence in this project. I don't think if the information that Councilperson Reynolds and I brought forward to you all, if that had not come to light, I don't think we would have received all the information that we were enlightened with in the past week. I told you all you will be invited to meetings this past week, didn't I? And I think this week was probably the most transparent and communicative week that we've seen since this project started. I want to also publicly thank Mr. Glover. Thank you so much for your class and integrity in this entire project. Thank you.
Commissioner
so much.
Leverett, you're
So-
addressing the
I'm sorry.
council.
I'm sorry.
Ask you to stick to that.
Okay, I just wanted to thank him for that and appreciate him for that. I don't know what the outcome is because this is a zoning issue and I don't know obviously what you all will do, but I do trust you all, I hope, as public servants to think about the community, think about what you all are voting on this evening. Thank you all for your due diligence. As a resident of Ward 6 and a commissioner in this area, I am very concerned about my community, and you all know that I am. You all know that I will publicly say in front of anyone, I am a public servant. I am not a politician. I don't do backdoor deals with anyone, and I don't make any promises to anyone. I'm going to serve my community, and I thank you all for doing the same thing. So whatever you all do, I trust your judgment as professionals, and I do hope that you act on behalf of the people as public servants. And thank you again, Mayor, for the time.
We have a question. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Hello, Commissioner.
Hi.
So we don't get to ask questions to a commissioner very often that actually lives in the ward where we're doing the zoning. So my question would be, just in case there needs to be any rebuttals or anything like that, is there anything else that you see in this zoning that you have concerns about that haven't been addressed in this transparent week?
Other than what you all pointed out, which I did not see, and I'm so glad that you all had that your eyes. I was focused on one thing, and we know what that one thing
Right.
was. So I appreciate you all bringing the issue of the sidewalk in this, and then of course, obviously, what my councilperson brought with, which was the traffic. And so yes, I share you all same concerns with that, but again, representing the county, that's not a decision I can make. So I hope that you all would make the right decision because this is in the city. But I think you all have addressed what I've been concerned about was the traffic and the Red River Street.
Thank you.
Any other comment or question? Seeing none. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 9? Our rules allow for rebuttal. If you in favor of Ordinance 9 and wish to rebut anything that was just talked about, you're welcome to come forward. Seeing none, that completes our public hearing agenda. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Mayor, I move we go back into regular session.
Motion been made to revert to regular session, properly seconded. We are now back in regular session. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. If you give me just one moment to get this pulled back up here. It's been a little while. Okay. I have, as a reminder, all motions upon the advice of legal counsel shall be for approval. Ordinance 03-2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Bill Ballou for zone change on property located on a parcel of land fronting on the west frontage of Allen Road, 925 plus or minus feet north of the Tiny Town Road and Allen Road intersection from AG Agriculture District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 3. Any comment or question from council regarding Ordinance 3? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
10 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 3 passes first reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 04-2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Eddie Burchett for zone change on a tract of land fronting on the south frontage of Rossview Road, south of the Rossview Road and Rollo Lane intersection from AG Agriculture District to R5 Residential District. Regional Planning Commission staff recommended disapproval. Regional Planning Commission recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 4. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I'd just like to say, thank you, Mayor, that I will be voting against this. Not that I really disapprove of the zoning, but I still think it's too soon. We need to do the infrastructure before we add additional rooftops into that area. And I will support the staff's decision at RPC. Thank you.
Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
7 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 4 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 05-2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Reach Holdings LLC for zone change on property located on a portion of a tract of land fronting on the north frontage of Wilson Road, 760 plus or minus feet plus or minus feet east of the Wilson Road and Chase Drive intersection from R5 Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District / C2 General Commercial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 5. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 5? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 5 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 06-2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of Reach Holdings LLC for zone change on a portion of a tract of land fronting on the south frontage of Wilson Road, 290 plus or minus feet east of the Wilson Road and Chase Drive intersection from R5 Residential District to C2 General Commercial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 6. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 6? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 6 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 07-2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of Adam Blick for zone change on a parcel fronting on the north frontage of Eva Drive, 180 plus or minus feet east of the Britton Springs Road and Eva Drive intersection from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R3 Three Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 7. Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I actually had reached out to the developer about this and asked them questions about pretty much what their intent is, how many units, the roads, and all that stuff. So as far as this lot is concerned, what I was told was it's just going to be 3 homes, which isn't really going to add that much traffic to Eva Drive. But when I asked about like price tags, this particular developer actually builds on the lower end of all the homes that are being built in Clarksville right now. For example, a home that he is that's on the market right now that he finished and under contract is actually selling for $225,000. And when you look online for like homes available in the area, there are actually only 25 listings in the entire city for homes underneath the price tag of $230,000. Of that, we have 11 of them are actually under contract, so they're not even available. 2 of them are coming soon, and 2 are active. Of the 2 active, they're foreclosures. So we don't have homes within this price tag, and as soon as they come up on the market, they get snagged up. And so what we've heard tonight is a lot of we need affordable homes, homes at a lower value. Right now, the market is still inflated, and unfortunately, homes that were selling for $150,000 2-3 years ago, this is the new price tag of $200,000, $230,000. And in order to keep affordable homes, we do need to have homes built within those price ranges, and we can't keep shooting ourselves in the feet whenever somebody's trying to build a home in that price tag. So I don't think that this is an entire negative because again, it's only 3 homes and they're all single family homes up for sale. Again, this was also recommended from the RPC because there isn't really much change happening on that lot. So I just wanted to give you guys some numbers of the current real estate market and the value of homes going that is anticipated to be there also. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to make my comments for both ordinance 7 and 8. I ask that you vote no. What I see from this neighborhood, and having lived pretty close to there for about 30 years, is it's a well-established neighborhood. Think about your neighborhood. Would you want a triplex coming into next to a single-family home? The neighbors are not against new properties coming in, but they would prefer single-family, even if it's an R2A, a single-family home in this established neighborhood. Thank you.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you. And I'm just going to piggyback off what my colleague just stated. I'm very familiar with the area also, and Single-family homes, yes, they're completely acceptable, but for this, especially within the neighborhood and how established it is, and especially dealing with that road that I know, and I know it very well, single-family would definitely be a better way to go. And just like what was said previously, the residents are not opposed to any new buildings in there. They just want us to do our job and make sure that the buildings going in do go in safely as far as traffic and residential concerns. That's all.
Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify that the developer specified he's not building triplex, they are single-family individual homes. That's the plan. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to say the exact same thing, and also, especially in regard to, we've got the old business that we'll be discussing in a bit with the ordinance 147, 2022, 23 first reading. That's actually going to make it also even more difficult for R3 to actually be triplexes. So fitting into that change that'll be made, that goes right along with the three homes that his intent to build. There's three separate, not three combined.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I have a point of inquiry. So I know we're changing the R3 zoning right now, and I thought that the R3 was three family originally, unless it was grandfathered in to do single family. But this one isn't being grandfathered in, so I'm just trying to understand, how are we getting single family homes in R3 right now? If
Councilperson
someone can answer that
Streetman,
question.
we'll look to you for an answer.
I apologize.
You're recognized.
You can already, as it stands today, without the change, build single-family homes. It just has to do with the different setbacks and everything involved with the R3. It's not as though you couldn't, even if we didn't vote for this today at all to make any changes to R3, you could still build single-family homes in R3 territories. It doesn't require it, zoning, it doesn't require it to be a triplex.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I know this is my second time. It's been said several times tonight that when you approve a zoning, anything allowed within that zoning can be put there. So worst case scenario, and what Mr. Tyndall told us last week was triplexes and fourplexes for these two lots. And that's what I'm thinking. And if those are allowed to go there, which they are, that does not conform with what is already established in that neighborhood.
Any other comment or question regarding ordinance 7? Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So with us changing the R3 and everything like that, I would like to make a motion for us to postpone this to next month. Because I would like clarification on this R3, because we're saying single family homes, and I heard my fellow council person say that you can build single family homes, but we're also, if he can build them right now where he's at, why are we changing the zoning? Or why isn't he going after R6? If that's what he's planning on building is single family homes. If he's building single family homes, why are we doing R3? I don't get it. And if we're changing R3, why are we trying to do this right now? So I'd like to make a motion to postpone this.
Motion been made to postpone until the September regular session. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion been made and properly seconded to postpone until the September regular session. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized on the motion to postpone.
So some of the, am I on?
You're on.
Okay. So some of the residents that are here tonight are disabled, and it was a challenge for them to get here tonight. We have an opportunity between first and second reading to get some of these questions answered. And if on second reading there's a majority decision that we defer it, we can do that at this time. But I would like for us to go ahead and vote on first reading tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Streetman on the motion to postpone.
Thank you, sir. In regard to, I also agree that we shouldn't postpone. Either vote it up or vote it down. And again, if you vote it up, there is time to be able to get answers to the questions. But reason being, as far as you want to postpone it, to get more information, it's currently zoned single-family mobile home residential district. What he's asking to go to is the R3. The change, he could build a single home on there if it was zoned to R3 without the approval of the changes to R3. But again, with setbacks and different things being changed as far as the size of the lot, the changes in the ordinance is what would allow it to be able to build 3 homes on there, is because he'd be able to fit more in that size land. That was what he chose to go with as far as in regard to that. But like I said, I agree, either vote it up or vote it down, and then we can move on from there.
Councilperson Little on the motion to postpone.
Yes, I don't feel like it needs to be postponed, and like I said, if it does go through, it goes for a second reading for us to find out more information. And not only that, as far as when we were allowing public comment, the only people who addressed the council as a whole were the residents who were against it.
Any other comment or question regarding the motion to postpone? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on the motion to postpone? Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
3 yes, 10 no, 0 abstain.
Motion to postpone fails. We're back on ordinance 7 as presented. Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 7? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
5 yes, 8 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 7 fails. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 08-2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jonathan and Adam Blick for zone change on a parcel located at the southeast corner of the Britton Springs Road and Eva Drive intersection from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 8. Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized on ordinance 8.
Thank you. So all I have to say on this is that he told me it was going to be condos for sale and that he does have access to Brent Springs. Thank you.
Okay, Councilperson Little on ordinance 8.
Thank you. Just repeat what I said before, the only people here to address the council as a whole were the residents who were against it and not the applicant.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 8? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
4 yes, 9 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 8 fails. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 09-2023-24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of VP Riverside Development LLC for zone change on a tract of land located north of College Street, north of the College Street and Hornberger Lane intersection, east of Red River Street and south of Red River Street from M2 General Industrial District to MXU mixed use PUD, mixed use plan development. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 9. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized on ordinance 9.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to kind of recap a little bit of what we discussed. The traffic counts were taken when the school was out. They did not address the newest projects at Frosty Moore Drive or the F&M Arena and the upcoming performing arts. Our traffic coming into downtown is only going to grow and become more, and now is the time to widen College Street, not afterwards. We are working to infill our community, and this traffic study is not comprehensive. It's just not. We are in the process of infilling our downtown community. Why would we not continue to widen College Street from Craft until the property owner, I would say 9th, but the property owner owns up to Red River, so up to Red River. And to fix that very awkward corner that wasn't addressed in the traffic study. The whole reason I support PUDs is we get to address all of these issues during the zoning process. We are setting the standards for our future PUDs, and if it is not in writing, if the property is sold, they will only be held to the published standards of the PUD. We can talk all the niceties that we want, but legally, they will only be held to the standards of what is printed and what we vote on. If we do not make improvements to College and Red River, it will be done on the backs of taxpayers, and we will have to use eminent domain to address the issues to improve traffic in less than 10 years, and that also goes for Red River District Road. So, my concerns are build and put it in a multimodal path around the entire circumference of the property, improve the intersection of Red River at both ends, review the traffic study and include the additional traffic from the F&M Arena, Frosty Moore Complex, and proposed Performing Arts Center, estimate, using estimates where needed. We also need to include the traffic of over 12,000 residents who make almost daily trips to APSU that were not included in this study. Reconsider widening College Road rather than allowing it to narrow at Craft, and improve Red River Drive as much as we can. Based on these, I move to refer ordinance 9/2023-24 back to Regional Planning Commission to review these concerns.
Motion been made to refer, properly seconded. The motion is to refer back to the Regional Planning Commission. So we're going to discuss that motion. Councilperson Streetman on the motion to refer to Regional Planning Commission.
Yes, sir.
You're recognized.
As we already heard tonight, if this gets sent back to the Regional Planning Commission, this deal is done. So, I mean, it's, again, goes back to deferring it. Either you vote on it tonight the way you feel, or you can vote it down. But if we send it back there, it doesn't matter all the changes that we want to recommend them to make. They won't have to make any of those changes because the deal will be off the table, and we'll be back to having just this land sitting there, and they're going to have to go back to trying to find something else to have there. So I'd ask that you vote against this deferral. Let's discuss and move forward and get this on the table for us to be able to vote on tonight.
Councilperson McLaughlin on the motion to refer to the Regional Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Although it's not in the plan, Mr. Glover did state several times that they will address the sharp point at Red River and College Street. So there's documentation of that publicly, that's going to be addressed. And that's one of the things I talked about because I work right there, and that is a very dangerous point. The second thing I'd like to address is the sidewalk going around the whole property. Because I work adjacent at a very heavy industrial manufacturing facility, I don't know if anybody who would want to walk on a sidewalk through that on the back side of this property. And there is access from the back side of where the stadium is proposed right there at Arctic. There's an alternate entrance that if people did want to ride their bike into there or walk in through there, there is access there. I'm pretty sure most people know how they're going to vote, and I don't see any reason for a deferral. Thank you.
Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized on the motion to refer to the Regional Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we need to vote on this tonight because just to defer it is to destroy the deal. Miss Wilson, Mr. Dillinger, and Mr. Glover, they have a vision, and this plan is going to be great for Clarksville, and this is our one shot to get it to move forward. Clarksville's been handed a golden goose, and some of us want to kill it. And it's, just look at it. We're supplying the TIF, and that's about it. Like, if you look at all the other projects in other cities, they have to put more tax incentives and just put more money up front just to get projects to go. And in this case, we're handed a really good deal, and I think we need to vote for it tonight. Thank you.
Councilperson Redd, you're recognized on the motion deferred.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not an expert on ballpark building and ballpark builders, but I would guess that they don't grow on trees. And from the testimony that we heard just a few minutes ago from Mr. Glover, the way these type projects that involves millions of dollars and several different contractors, if we vote to postpone this, we will in essence be, as I understand, killing this project. And this, like I said, could be a long time before this opportunity comes back to us again. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized on the motion to re-refer.
No, sir, I was just getting back in line for when we were done with that.
Okay, hit your button again, please. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized on your motion.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say that we're talking about whether we're gonna pay for widening college up front or whether we're going to put it on the backs of our residents in the future. That's like A or B. So I understand the timeline, but as a person who recognizes the cost of taxes, I think we can make this work. If it's important, the RPC can get it through and get it back to us, and I'll make myself available to any special call meeting to make this work. I have not decided my vote. My vote, I support this. I mean, I've had a few patches, but I support this deal. I just think that we did not do our due diligence in documenting what is required, and that is the whole reason that we do a PUD. And again, if we don't do it today, every time one of these PUDs come up, they're going to tap dance and say, yes, I'll do it, but we will really have no legal standing. Even the corner on College and Red River, the sharp corner, that's not the property Mr. Glover is going to work on. That's part of the hotel. So he is making a promise for a construction project that he will not do. So legally, he can't do that. There's a whole bunch of legal ramifications for the future. We can make this work but we need to center and be respectful of our residents and the safety and the future of our city. And I just don't think that the infrastructure of this project and how they've addressed it is appropriate.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Call for question.
Question's been called for, properly seconded. Any objection to the question? Hearing none, we are voting on the motion to refer back to the Regional Planning Commission. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
3 yes, 10 no, 0 abstain.
Motion to refer fails. We're back on the ordinance as proposed. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say, I mean, I think you can tell, I obviously think this is a great idea for our community. First of all, thinking about, we have a lot of families in this community, and we have so many kids that play the Little League Baseball, Little League Softball. These are just some numbers here for you guys. We had 537 youth that participated in baseball and softball with our Clarksville Parks and Recreation. We had 701 that participated in spring 2022 with Clarksville National baseball and softball. That's, we don't get the numbers until at the end of the year, so we don't know what the numbers were for 2023. That doesn't take into account, you've got the Woodlawn League, you've got St. B, and you've got Central, which play on different county fields. Then you've got kids that play in travel ball that don't participate in these other leagues. We have so many kids in this community that love baseball. This is an opportunity where we have for these families to be able to bring their kids out. And we often hear we want more things for our families to be able to do. This is something more for our families to be able to do. I also want to point out, I went to the opening last night at the F&M Bank Arena for the 3 Ice event. And as I was walking out, I was talking to some people and just carrying on. And they happened to mention they were here from Kansas City. They came into town to see that event. So these were tourists that came here, spent money in our community to attend an event. I would anticipate the exact same thing happening when we have the baseball field there for people to be able to come in. And how great would it be for those tourists to be able to stay right in our downtown rather than having to stay out in St. B or out at exit 11 and contributing to the traffic as they drive into the downtown area. How great would it be for them to be able to stay there and attend events that are at the F&M Bank Arena? Or as I mentioned last week, Austin P graduation. I think there's a lot of components that you can think about that each of these things add. We already talked about the sidewalks that we've got. Yes, the front part is wider, but they are meeting the standard in the back, and they chose to go above and beyond on the front and give additional sidewalk there. A lot of talk being said about improving College Street, widening College Street, that is going to be put back on the city for us to be able to do. I want to remind everybody, College Street is actually a state road. It is not a city road. I think this is going to be hugely beneficial to us. As we've already talked about, when you're looking at right now, there's nothing there. It's not doing anything. It's not helping the community anyway. This could be a catalyst for that entire area to continue to improve, offer more opportunities for those in the neighborhoods around. As was mentioned, this part right here could have 300 jobs for that area for people that want to be able to walk to work or need to be able to walk to work, they're going to have that ability to be able to do that. It's another way for our transit system to be utilized. We have tax dollars that go into our transit system. We want to see those used more and more. This is a great way for that to happen, including if people don't want to have to park there for an event, they can park somewhere else and ride the bus in. There's a lot of great components that go along with this. So I'd ask that you vote in favor of this. This is a good thing for our community, and I'm excited to see this come to fruition.
Councilperson Allen, you recognized.
Okay, so there are times when we'll sit here and we'll discuss something and we're not really sure of what will happen after it leaves the table. Me and Mr. Glover had a very good conversation when I spoke with him, and he gave me the impression that he's going to tell the truth. He doesn't want his name smeared. He said, if I come to you guys and tell you guys something that isn't true right now, what will make you guys believe me the next time I come into your community and try to do something? He seems like he wants to stay here for a while, right, Mr. Glover? So when we're looking at this development, one of our council members said earlier that he's not going to have a part in the development of that corner because he's just on the baseball field. When I look at this project, I look at it as when we do a subdivision, the developer develops the entire subdivision. And then he puts in parks, he puts in anything he wants to put in, green spaces, sidewalks, and all that other stuff. And then from there, that's when he starts selling off the lots to build houses on and everything like that. That's the same way that's happening with this project. He's going to develop everything. So yes, he can work on that corner. Yes, he can do all that. Hopefully when he goes to the planning stage, the street department, him and the mayor and everybody that's involved in this are really going to hone this down, because it is going to be something that Clarksville has not done before. So hopefully we can hone it down, but to not vote for it and everything because we don't know if this corner is going to be in, at some point we have to try to say, okay, let's put some trust into this, because if we vote this down tonight, we could get something so much worse that comes next time. And I think this is an excellent project. If College Street is something that's of a concern, that's something that needs to be talked about at the table, along with the state at the table. If they have plans on widening it, then those things can be talked about at that time. Hopefully we'll partner like that. But I'm asking you guys to vote for this, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I think it's a really good project for downtown. Thank you.
Councilperson Red, you recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. For me, this is the way that I believe that projects should be done, and this is the way that local government should seek amenities for their community. A private company, they build the amenity, they manage the business, approves the property or improves this property, and we get to reap I think it was said 140 times the tax that is currently being paid on it, and of course the sales tax that will come from the baseball games. And the good thing about it, we don't have to use our own money. We avoid the liability, we avoid the maintenance, we don't have to pay any interest on a loan that we have to take out. We don't have to hire more personnel for the city and have to pay their Social Security and all the other benefits. And this company will do every bit of that, and hopefully they will make a profit in the process. And we will have a minor league baseball park, but not at our cost. The only time the citizens will have to pay is if they purchase a ticket and go to watch the game. And I believe this is how the F&M Bank and other projects that we've had, or the F&M Arena, and other projects, I wish that this would be the way it was done every time. And of course, now I know that there's some problems if you're going to have a big project like this. There will be more traffic. If you go to the Titans game and you're on I-24 or 65 and you're before and after the game, there's a lot of traffic, but it's just for a small period of time. And like I mentioned at the executive committee meeting, most of the games will probably be played at night or on the weekends. If you look at Little Oak Grove, Kentucky, they're benefiting from having this racing and gaming hotel and an RV park there, and it has increased into their coffers for the local government a lot. And I just think, to me, this should be a slam dunk here. I'm kind of surprised at the controversy surrounding this particular ordinance, but I'll just hope and pray that y'all vote for it, because I like to watch baseball too. Thank you, Mayor.
Slam dunk or home run, as the case may be. Okay, Councilperson Shekinah, you recognize.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just over the past week, a lot of progress has been made on this with the conversations and the information that's being passed back and forth, and even some of the compromises from some of the questions that have come to bear. I would like for us to vote on it, just for the sake of, to us to continue to work those issues, and then by the second reading, hopefully a lot of these other concerns will be resolved. And if not, then we still have a chance to actually vote this down. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you. This is like everybody else has said before, this is a great opportunity for the city to where, with a lot of big projects, they're going to have to do infrastructure upgrades that aren't going to come at our cost. Not only that, the added revenue from that, we have infrastructure needs that need to be met for our residents and anybody living in Clarksville and traveling through Clarksville. This added revenue from the taxes from that can speed up our infrastructure growth compared to what we're getting from that area right now. Not only that, I believe that Lincoln Homes is going to see a revitalization. We got everything over there being revitalized. Let's not leave something as an eyesore and dilapidated when we're revitalizing everything else. And there's a lot of businesses over there, businesses I like, that will get even more revenue and growth from this arena coming through. And they're small businesses. They're small business. I think everything over there is a small business, local business. So this supports not only our community, but supports our infrastructure, supports our growth, and also gives people something to do.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, my first one is just a rhetorical question, and that's in what world in Clarksville, Tennessee, have we built parks and green spaces in our developments? I'm just saying. But after that, we keep saying trust. I mean trust but verify, or trust but make sure you tie up the camel. Whatever you look at, I want to see it in writing. Why are these projects? We're seeking amenities, and the amenities that they've given are really the lowest lying. I would like to mention that the baseball field Mr. Glover indicated that he would use a TIF. That means that they are building the baseball field with TIF, which means they will not pay taxes incrementally for the next 10 years. Who wouldn't like to go buy a house and not pay taxes? That means they're not going to fund the infrastructure that has to go around it. They're not paying the taxes. And just as one last closing is, we keep talking about all the money that this is bringing in, and we've been talking about that for decades, and I understand that. But when are we going to use that money coming in to build affordable houses? When are we going to use all this revenue that we keep talking about to take care of the residents who are paying for the infrastructure? We literally raised taxes in 2020 to improve our infrastructure exactly because of these kind of deals we're making tonight.
Tax increment financing, the increment is what they will get a deferral on. They will not be able to use 100% of the increment, only what qualifies. Councilperson Redd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. With that being said, I'd like to call for the question.
Question been called for. Any objection to the question? Hearing none. Are you ready to vote on Ordinance 9? We're voting on Ordinance 9. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
10 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 9 is adopted, first reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Planning Commission old business, the following item was heard during the public hearing and referred back to the Planning Commission on July 6, 2023. Ordinance 147, 2022-23, first reading, an ordinance amending the city zoning.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Would y'all please settle down? Thank you. Thank you. Councilperson Streetman, proceed, please.
An ordinance amending the city zoning ordinance of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, as it pertains to the R3 and R2D zoning classification. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 147. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 147? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm asking you all to vote against this because this does not align with the Red River Neighborhood Plan that we voted on. And so, I just don't think that R3 is, feasible for the Red River neighborhood. First of all, because it allows apartments, triplexes, and duplexes within the area. When it said in the plan that we voted on, this council as a whole, that that would not be allowed in the Red River neighborhood. And so I'm asking you all to vote this down and let it go back, or let us defer it back to the planning commission until we get it right. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comment or question regarding ordinance 147? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
8 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 147 is adopted, first reading. Councilperson Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, we're now ready for the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, your turn.
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial and may be approved by the council may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 141, 2022-23, second reading, an ordinance to amend the official code of the city of Clarksville pertaining to purchasing and adopting the Tennessee Department of Transportation approved local version of the T-Dot consultant selection policy for state or federally funded construction and improvement projects. Ordinance 142, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Burt Singletary for zone change on a tract of land fronting on the east frontage of Pea Ridge Road, east of the Sandbar and Pea Ridge Road and Redding Drive and Pea Ridge Road intersections, from C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District to PUD Planned Unit Development District. Ordinance 143, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Tanner Properties for zone change on a tract fronting on the north frontage of Rossview Road, 1,000 plus or minus feet west of the Rossview Road and Powell Road intersection, from R1 Single Family Residential District to C4 Highway Interchange District and C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Ordinance 144, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Ava Homes for zone change on property fronting on the south frontage of Caldwell Lane, 225 plus or minus feet east of the Caldwell Lane and Robert Street intersection, from R2 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 145, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Brian Johnson for zone change on the north frontage of Dover Road, 375 plus or minus feet east of the Dover Road and Stephanie Drive intersection, and the east frontage of Stephanie Drive, 885 plus or minus feet north of the Dover and Stephanie Drive intersection, from C2 General Commercial District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Ordinance 146, 2022-23, second reading, an ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, Title 3, Animals, Chapter 1, Animal Control, Section 3-109, Keeping of Cattle, Horses, Sheep, Goats, Swine, or Poultry in residential areas relative to keeping chickens, and adoption of minutes from July 6, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion in a second. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the consent agenda. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, I'd like to pull ordinance 143, 2022-23 off the consent agenda.
Thank you. Councilperson Marquis on the consent agenda.
Yes, I'd like to pull ordinance 146, 2022, 23, item F.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized on the consent agenda.
Yes, I would like to please pull ordinance 142, 2022, 23, Z 2023 from the consent agenda.
Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Disregard, Mayor, it was already pulled. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will take up item B, ordinance 142, and item C, ordinance 143, immediately following the consent agenda adoption. We'll take up ordinance 146 under new business. All right, any other comment or question regarding the consent agenda? Are you ready to vote on the consent agenda? Please, all members cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The consent agenda is adopted. We are now going to take up the two items pertaining to zoning on ordinance 142. Item B, ordinance 142, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance map of the city of Clarksville, application of Burt Singletary for zone change on a tract of land fronting on the east frontage of Pea Ridge Road, east of Sandbar and Pea Ridge Road and Rudding Drive and Pea Ridge Road intersections from C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District to PUD, Planned Unit Development District. I'll entertain a motion in a second. Motion been made and properly seconded. Councilperson Reynolds, you pulled this. You are recognized.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to address the letters that we've been receiving from our constituents. I mentioned several of the items at the last meeting, but we received another note, and I just wanted to address some of their concerns. They requested a four-way stop or signalized stop at Sandbar Drive and Pea Ridge and Rudding Drive and Pea Ridge. The developer will explore this option, but the property at Sandbar Drive is actually under a separate ordinance, 78, 2022, 23. And under that ordinance, there was also a conversation about a turn lane in that area. So perhaps a stop sign and a turn lane. It's a little convoluted of who would do that, but that I will follow that and try to make sure that gets done. Crosswalks at Sandbar Drive and Pea Ridge Drive, again, two different builders, but neither one of them are opposed to that. And as they refine the process, they will put those in. They will really look for those. They asked for the entrance leading to Trenton Road be completed before the residents and businesses move in. I spoke with the developer, and this is not possible because the developer does not own that property. He is building a stub road for a future connection as soon as that property is developed. Construction access was also part of the conversation. The residents were concerned with construction access blocking the neighborhood. I spoke to the developer, and he has agreed to review the property layout and choose the construction access with the respect of the neighborhood concerns. It will obviously depend on the layout of the property, but he listened to that concern and will take it in consideration when he moves forward. I will continue to follow this PUD and advocate for the concerns of the community. The developer is upgrading the sewer and drainage, which may not be required if the property was redeveloped as a C5. Pea Ridge will be widened to the 101st with the signal at the intersection. This has the potential to divert traffic that is now cutting through several of the neighborhoods. I understand and respect the concerns of the residents in my community. With this PUD, we are voting on the design, and it's very transparent, as well as requiring more green space than any other of our zones. I will do my best to follow all three of the developments in this area to ensure your voices are addressed. I voted to pass this ordinance in July, and in full transparency, I will vote yes again on this. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin on ordinance 142.
I just want to thank the previous speaker for updating us on some information you found out pertaining to this from the previous reading.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? We're now voting on ordinance 142, second reading. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
10 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 142 is adopted, second reading. We're now ready for ordinance 143, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Tanner Properties for a zone change on a tract fronting on the north frontage of Rossview Road, 1,000 plus minus feet west of Rossview Road and Powell Road intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to C4 Highway Interchange District, C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. I'll entertain a motion and a second. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 143. Councilperson Streetman, you pulled this, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I want to start out by saying that a month ago, there was, when we had this on the first reading, during the public hearing portion of it, the developer was asked, would you be willing to have a meeting with the residents? And he said, yes, on the floor right here the next day. The meeting was already set up for him to be able to meet with the residents. We met with them on a Saturday morning. I was there as well as my fellow council member there to allow the residents and the developer to be able to talk to one another and for him to go over what his plan was with that. So I appreciated that he was willing to be there and do that. And I appreciated that we had residents come out to hear about it as well. I know that we've gotten a lot of emails from them, and I won't say that when everybody left that meeting that they all thought this was a great idea. I think some thought, accepted, it was an idea that they could have there. I know some still left there not wanting to have this there. But I want to address several things that we've had brought forward, in various different emails. One thing that has been addressed was that they were concerned with the crime that occurs where you have storage facilities. I reached out to Chief Cropperell to find out, okay, what type of crime do we usually, how big is crime usually with your storage units, with it being right there in front of a school? It is not something that has a lot of crime that occurs. You do occasionally have some break-ins where people are trying to break in and get things that are in the units. However, it's also no different than when you have a home that is going above and beyond to put safety measures in place and a home maybe that isn't. If you leave your car parked out in your driveway and there's no lights on it and you don't lock it, there is a good chance that your car could be broken into. It's less likely to happen if you have cameras available to you, you have lots of light on it, and you lock your car up. The way his storage lots will work is that you must have a code to get in. You must have a code to get out, and everybody is assigned their own code. So John Smith, if he enters the building at 1:32 in the afternoon, it's going to be on record that he went in, and when he leaves at 1:47, it's also on record that he has come out. They're also a cashless business, so therefore the only way that you can pay is with a credit or a debit card, which is trackable. It's not, you can't use checks, you can't use cash. So that's another deterrent to crime occurring there. And also in that instance, as a deterrent to crime, he anticipates having 80 to 90 cameras. So they're going to be on the units, they're going to be away from the units, on the land around. So that's a huge bonus in trying to deter crime. You see those up there, that's not something criminals want to get captured on camera doing. They also have an office that would be open. The office opens at 9 in the morning. I believe it closes at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Forgive me that I don't remember the exact time that it closes, but there's somebody that works in that office, and every hour they go and walk around the property. They're taking note of what's going on. They're able to get to know people that do come in there. They're doing everything they can to deter crime happening. Also, I know there's been a lot that have thought it should be used for Rossview to be able to expand. If Rossview was interested in purchasing, the school system was interested in purchasing the land for Rossview to expand, that opportunity has been there. A year ago, we had a zoning case before us to put apartments there. I was adamantly against it because I knew that wasn't what the residents wanted, was more people living in that area right there where they'd be coming in and out. And the apartments would have done that, and they also would have contributed to the Rossview school and them growing, as far as having more students that attend there. So, again, if the school system was interested, that opportunity was there when this failed last year. The school system has never reached out to try and purchase the property to expand, and I don't know that that's something that they would do, because if the school system's wanting to purchase land, they're wanting to purchase to build more schools as opposed to trying to have super schools. Another thing is, if you chose to build homes there, then you're talking about, you could have anywhere from 25 to well over 60 homes, depending on the zoning that was in place and how it was done as far as the cluster subdivisions, lots of different things that would go into that. But you could have a large amount of homes that would be living there. In that event, it's going to be like all the other homes that have been built right there in that small area. Typically speaking, your traffic is going to be during the same hours as everybody else. You've got the rush hour traffic, everybody leaving to go to work, everybody coming home from work. These storage units, which I realize is not the entire lot, but it is the majority of the lot. These storage units have very little daily traffic. You're looking at 3 to 4 people coming and going on a daily basis. And in fact, when we met with him on that Saturday, he had checked with his other 2 storage lots. They had had 0 people come in the day beforehand. So it created no traffic on that Friday because nobody was going to their storage facility. Now, there will be commercial on the front. At this point in time, he does not know what's going to go on there. He hasn't purchased the land. Until that comes about, then they will work on that. But as one resident even stated at the meeting that we had, he pointed out that this could very well be a business that he would like to be able to utilize. So there could be businesses and services that these residents would like to utilize that they don't have to drive 20 to 30 minutes to get to. They can go right there. I know that people have been concerned with it, but again, I voted against the residential a year ago with all the apartments because there had been so many homes that had been built and are still being built, and that was a concern to them. Also, one thing that he also talked about is that he plans on trying to reduce how many trees he's going to be building. I won't say building, I apologize, tearing down. It's not reducing the number of trees that he's tearing down, but he's going to try and tear down as few of the trees as possible. He wants to leave as much trees up as he can around the perimeter of the area, which for one, of course, protects the view into being in there, but also he's required due to landscape ordinances to have to put in different landscaping. The more he's able to leave up, the less landscaping he has to take down. So I know that was something that was talked about as well. I understand the concerns, but trying to look at what is going to work best and what's going to be the least amount of impact on a daily basis to the travel on that particular stretch right there. I am still voting in favor of this, and I appreciate, again, that he took the time to address the residents, and I appreciate that the residents have reached out, because I have listened to what has been said, but I've also had to look at it from both sides and really try to look into it. Thank you.
Councilperson Shekinab, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I think we still have at least one long resident of that area that stayed for the entire meeting. If you could stand up and just be recognized, please. So she stuck it out. There was a few of them here earlier. You all have read the emails regarding what the residents want in this area. They want the R1, which is already there, and that can put about 31 homes. I'll be voting against this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
9 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 143 is adopted. Second reading. We are now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 01-2023-24, first reading. An ordinance authorizing the city to purchase a portion of property owned by Hilldale Baptist Church located near Madison Street to the city of Clarksville, Tennessee for the purpose of constructing, improving, operating, and maintaining a city fire station and for ingress and egress from the same. Finance Committee recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 1. Any comment or question? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 1 passes. First reading. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 02-2023-24, first reading. An ordinance amending the operating budgets for fiscal year 2024 for governmental funds, ordinance 140-2022-23 to appropriate and provide budget authority for the COVID Special Revenue Fund. Finance Committee recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 2. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 2 is adopted. First reading, Chairperson Streetman.
That concludes my reports, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We're now ready for Gas and Water Committee report. Chairperson Holloman, you're recognized.
All righty. Thank you, Mayor. So this department report will be a little bit less numerical, and it's just a little bit of a good change up, and I'm looking forward to giving it. The Clarksville Gas Department is proud to announce their partnership with Versviv and Arteria Company in the use of innovative technique called cross compression. Previously, when the evacuation of natural gas from the pipeline was required before certain work could be performed, the gas was vented into the atmosphere. Cross compression captures the natural gas from the section of the pipe to be depressurized and injects into a section of the pipe remaining active, therefore saving this valuable commodity. For this one project alone, according to EPA estimates, the use of this process equates to the following savings. 1 year of energy use for 72.7 homes, 64,000 pounds of coal burn, 1 year of 128 passenger vehicles being driven, or 688 acres of U.S. forest. Gas and Water's annual drinking water quality report has been released, showing the results of numerous water quality tests performed throughout 2022 calendar year. The results show that Clarksville's drinking water meets and exceeds the stringent state and federal standards set for safe drinking water. An electronic copy of the report can be found on Gas and Water's website, or a printed copy can be obtained from any Gas and Water location open to the public, City Hall, or the Clarksville Montgomery County Public Library. And this is the best for last. Mark Riggins apologizes for the delayed announcement, but feels it is very important to announce Gas and Water's Employee Award winners for 2022. Employee of the Year winners. For the Administrative Division, we have Jessica Biter. The Service Division, Rachel Linder. Gas Division, Ronald Sager. Water Division, Dakota Gibbs. Wastewater Division, Christian Allen. Overall Employee of the Year winner is Jessica Biter. So that's really good. General Manager's Award of Excellence winner is Rhonda Fulton. Wade Rudolph Manager of the Year award goes to Troy Jones. So we've had a pretty productive month, and that concludes my report.
And those employees deserve a round of applause,
Right.
please. Thank you. Good report. Neighborhood and Community Services Committee. Council Chairperson Shekina, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Community Housing Development Organization recertification is nearly complete. They should have that wrapped up sometimes before the end of next month. It's an annual recertification that will enable them to acquire, disperse, and manage grants for community organizations to assist segments of the population. Also, Manna Cafe will receive $125,000 from the Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG. And then finally, some funds will go from that particular grant to street outreach, shelter activities, homeless prevention, and homeless management information systems. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any comment or question regarding the committee report? Seeing none, we're ready for the Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The Parks and Recreation Committee met on July 8th.
I'm sorry, if I may interrupt. Councilperson Smith had a question about that. Okay, you're recognized.
Have we found a director as of today?
No.
Okay, we're still searching.
Yes.
Okay, any prospects?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good.
That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Now, Chairperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor.
So the Parks and Recreation Committee met on July 18th. We discussed the Greenway Master Plan, as well as received an update on some of the recreation options and some of the success we've had with those over the summer. I'm happy to report that ground has been broken on the full-size football field and half practice field at Edith Pettis Park. Work is expected to be complete by the end of the year. Also underway are the site plans for a multi-purpose field at Dixon Park and the Crossland Avenue Greenway extension. Additionally, the bid for the construction of the Exit 8 Athletic Complex has been sent out and closes at the end of the month. The department is also very busy preparing for Riverfest, which will be on Saturday, September 9th and Sunday, September 10th at McGregor Park. This year marks the final celebration of an event that has brought joy, music, and togetherness to our community for years. Don't miss this last chance to experience the magic of Riverfest as we bid farewell to the event, but don't worry, plans are underway to bring new experiences to Clarksville. I'd also like to personally request that everybody show their support for the downtown market by voting to make it the #1 market in America. Visit markets.farmland.org and cast your vote today. The next meeting will be held on Tuesday, August 8th at 4:30 in the City Hall Conference Room. And before I conclude this report, I just want to take an opportunity. You know, I get the pleasure of reading this report every month, but it's a little inside baseball. This report is actually the product of some very passionate members of the Parks and Rec Committee. Every time I get it, I am just thrilled to see how the pride that they have in the work that they do for this city is very evident. And I just want to thank them for the hard work that they do.
Thank you very much. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're now ready for the Public Safety Committee. Chairperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a guest at our committee meeting who expressed a lot of concerns about people breaking into her properties in New Providence, and she's working with the leadership of the police department to rectify the problem. We also discussed aspects of the chicken policy and ordinance and some of the amendments there. And the building codes are still working through the intergov to get the kinks out. The monthly total of permits was 687. That included multifamily, commercial, and residential. Clarksville Police Department had another successful national night out, and they gave away 740 backpacks to children before the first day of school, and they have 32 vacancies. The Fire Suppression Division had a total of 1,565 calls. They had 16 structural fires, which resulted in a loss of $1,274,400. We have 14 new recruits that started the fire academy for the 15 weeks of training, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're ready for Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee. Chairperson Smith, you're recognized.
Okay, you got me?
You're hot. Go.
Okay, thank you. The TSG reports for July are as follows. Transported 41,454 passengers in the month of July. Senior ridership for the month of July was 7,281. Demand response total for the month of July was 3,544. Here today at Transit is COA representatives, which is Comprehensive Operation Analysis. They are here riding the CT buses, checking routes, and finishing up a study they are doing. Bus driver Mr. Gay Ratcliffe retired August the 5th after 13 years with CTS. He will be missed. Please remember to use the CTS Spot app to find out where our buses are at any time. And they say, everyone, please stay out of the heat and stay hydrated. Now we will go to the Street Department reports. Okay, for the month of July, the Street Department has paved at least 10 streets. Susan, Mark Spritz, Jim Thorpe, Elaine, Louise, Kelly, Yvonne, Roman, Van Leer, and Ford Street. Also, street plans for paving in August are Bel Air Boulevard, Nooms Bomber Road, Barge Point Road, Hopkinsville Highway, Julie Drive, Jewel, Lilybell, Shelton Circle, and Chestnut Ridge Road. Pedestrian signs and push buttons have been installed at 2nd Street and College Street. Road construction on Whitfield Road has resumed now that AT&T has completed their major relocations. Woo woo! Thank God for that. Now we'll move on to the, let's see, I gotta find it now. We gotta move on to the garage. I have to get it off the computer. Just hold on a moment. Yeah, we're gonna find it. We hope. Give me a minute. We're almost there. I had it right here. Let's see, the garage report. I know that the gasoline went up. I do know that. The unleaded. Let's see. Here it is. Okay. Let's see. Let's see how many work orders. The total number of work orders for July was 400. The total number of work order hours was 915.55. And let's jump down to the gas. Fuel cost for unleaded was $3.08 per gallon. The last delivery was July 25th. That was an increase of 14%. It was $2.70. Okay, the diesel fuel was $3.15 per gallon. The last delivery was July the 31st. That's an increase of 22% from $2.59. This concludes my reports. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we are now ready for the moment you've been waiting for, the chicken ordinance. So we are considering ordinance 146, 2022, 23, second reading, an ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, Title 3 Animals, Chapter 1 Animal Control, Section 3-109, keeping of cattle, horses, sheep, goats, swine, or poultry in residential areas relative to keeping chickens, parentheses, hens. I'll entertain a motion in a second. Motion. Okay. So close. All right. Councilperson Marquis, you pulled that, so you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So last week I did mention that I was gonna pull it because there's an error in this ordinance and I have an amendment for it, and I will explain it again, but I'll make a motion for my amendment.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the ordinance. Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized for explanation.
Thank you. So when this ordinance was made, the red line that you see before you was left out. That is actually in our city code right now. And if we don't put that in, we are deleting it from our city code. So the amendment is to put back that line and not having whoopsie. It's pretty much.
Okay, so you've heard the explanation of the whoopsie amendment.
Yeah.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're sponsor of the original ordinance. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to clarify that the only thing that is changing from the amendment, to the ordinance that passed first reading last month is that red line, because in the amendment that we've been passed out, it says that a maximum of 6 chickens may be permitted on any parcel or tract of property. And I believe that we had the amendment, the original ordinance that passed first reading increased that number to 8.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
we need.
so we need to amend the amendment?
Whoopsie.
or- yeah.
Mr. Baker?
So I believe, let's all agree to this if we can. You just made a motion and there was a second to approve the first reading version. And there's not yet, that I heard, maybe I'm incorrect, a motion to actually amend. Was there? I don't think there was.
She had a motion to amend,
Yeah.
to adopt her amendment.
Right, but was there actually a motion to approve the main motion already?
No, yes, we got that on the
Okay.
floor
All right, then
before
I
we
stand
proceeded.
corrected. All right, so procedurally, we're in the right posture, but your amendment
Yeah.
is you're to ignore everything in what's been handed out except for the red line. And so her amendment, as I heard it, is we're going to add into the first reading version just what's in the red line.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yes.
Everybody understands what we're doing, okay? All right, it's before us. Anything else, Councilperson Zacharias? You have the floor.
No, sir.
Okay. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
I apologize. I do have a question while we're discussing this. So, in the main part of the ordinance or the code, it references the approved zones, residential zones to have backyard chickens. Does the 9,000 square feet comply with those zoning classifications? I know it was already in there, but my concern is, if we have, item 1 that says it's approved within these zoning classifications, there's not an except, if you don't have the amount of property, if I'm making any sense at all.
Mr. Baker.
So it says the keeping of
It doesn't
domestic.
make any sense yet. I am the guy that drafted it.
Yeah, but it's been,
Sorry.
sorry.
Oopsie.
Sorry. But it says the keeping of domesticated hens shall be allowed in residentially zoned districts of E1, R1, R1A, R2, and R2A. My question is, are those zoning classifications, are their lots large enough to allow for this 9,000 square foot? And are those in conflict with each other if not?
All right, I'm now at what's in the current code.
Right.
As codified, so section 3-109, subsection
B1.
B1?
Correct.
All right, so the keeping of domesticated hens, females, shall be allowed in residentially zoned districts. And my recollection is that, the version that passed on first reading did not change that at all.
No.
I know, but now that it's in question because it's being put back in, I'm trying to make sure that the allowable zoning classifications have enough property to meet this 9,000 minimum square feet requirement. Are they in conflict of each other?
I think I do get your question now. I don't have an answer. I would have to confer with Jeff Tyndall to determine whether any of those
Specifically
zoning
R2A.
districts that are not where hens are allowed,
Right.
whether any of them are less than 9,000 square feet, which is what you're saying is that there
Yeah,
could be a
specifically
disconnect.
R2A.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. That's the one that's probably most at issue.
Right.
Or potentially a problem. That's a good question.
Sorry, I didn't think of that sooner.
This
but-
is, I hate to say it, but, this is second reading, so you may want to consider deferring it until we can look into that issue. Of course, we could always do another ordinance to amend it yet again. I don't have
Councilperson McLaughlin, you have the floor.
Well, I just don't want us to have, now that it's in front of us, it's like when you open Pandora's box.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we're not in conflict. I mean, one thing would be for us to go ahead and pass it, and if we have to come back and amend
All
it
I
again.
can say is that when I wrote all this years and years ago, I'm sure I would have consulted with the director of the Regional Planning Commission and the then department head of the Building Codes Department. I wouldn't have just drawn that minimum, shall be a minimum of 9,000 square feet. I would not have just pulled that out of thin air. And I would hope, I'm not guaranteeing it, because we all make mistakes, but I would hope that that would not be in conflict with the zoning districts where hens can be kept.
Okay, then, I'm not going to make a motion to defer or postpone, but if you do find that there's an issue, then we can address it at a later time.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up.
You're welcome.
Okay, Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So, my reading of this ordinance, and I have read it quite a bit lately, is that first requirement that the hens be kept in certain zoned, or in parcels that are of a certain zone is not mutually exclusive with these other provisions. Like in order for chickens to be lawfully kept, they would need to meet all of the requirements. So that's not saying that, just because something is zoned R2A, it automatically gets chickens. It has to be zoned R2A, and it has to meet all of these other requirements laid out.
That is an excellent point, and that may actually be exactly what the intention was. So, okay, we're gonna allow it for example, in R2A, but not all R2As, because you still gotta meet this other requirement. So that is actually probably what the, intention was.
Somebody told me I should go to law school once. Oh, That's all, Mayor.
Are we good? Okay, all right. All right, we're voting on the marquee amendment. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
And the amendment is adopted. We're now on ordinance 147 as amended. Any comment or question regarding the ordinance as amended? Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
At the risk of prolonging this meeting any longer, I would just like to encourage you all to vote for this amendment, and I promise that if you do, I will not mention chickens for at least 2 weeks.
You're a liar.
For 2 weeks. You heard it here first on the record. Okay. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Chicken ordinance is adopted. Second reading. All right, we're now ready for council and mayor comments. Any member wish to have comments? Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind everybody that the Women of Clarksville Expo will be held August 19th. You can see we all have this out for us to be able to see. But this is going to be a free event celebrating the women of Clarksville. You can enjoy local vendors and food trucks, cooking demos, free health screenings, Gold Star license and renewals, door prizes, and much more. Again, it's August 19th, 2023. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Wilma Rudolph Event Center. And I can say I've been to this expo before, and it is such a great time. And I really have to admit, I enjoy the cooking demos as well. I love watching people cook and learning new recipes. But there's just so much that you can go and women can take away from attending this event. So I encourage, especially all of our council women, please come out. Men, y'all are welcome to come as well. I've seen other guys there, but like I said, please come out, enjoy this wonderful event, and that concludes all I have to say on that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilperson Allen. You're recognized.
So I have 2 comments, and I know we talked about chickens, but we also need to talk about these feral cats. I did a lot of research this week on cats, and the feral cats. They have like tripled in our neighborhood right now. We have a really big problem with them. We've called animal control. We've called all these other places, and nobody comes and get feral cats. So if anybody can point us to the right direction, please let us know. And school starts Monday. Sorry, Brian. I'm sorry. School starts Monday. Please slow down. The kids are walking to school. We know we're trying to make it more walkable for our kids, but we don't have our sidewalks in yet for some places. Not in my neighborhood. I do know. At least my kid doesn't ride. He rides the bus to school now. He's in middle school. But other people's kids are out here walking. Please, please, please slow down. I know you guys been speeding all summer. Please slow down. Okay? Our kids are walking again. Thank you.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized for comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to invite each and every one of you all to Clarksville Emancipation Day celebration. Karen Reynolds is usually always there. And on August the 5th, this Saturday, if you have nothing to do, bring your family, bring your launcher, whatever you want to do. We're going to have a good time. We will have a hip-hop DJ Foley, gospel singers, street performers, steppers, vendors, food, music, dance contests, and more. Come out and enjoy the blast of Clarksville's Southern Silky Soul flavor. So come on out. It's free to everybody. On Franklin Street. It's on Franklin Street.
Near the Burt Cobb Recreation Center.
Yeah, you're right, near the Burt Cobb Recreation Center. It's in the street,
What times it start?
It starts at 5 p.m.
What time's it end?
10:30 at night.
Okay, all right.
We're going to have a good time, aren't we, Mayor?
Yes, we are.
All right now.
All right.
Now we're going to have a good time, Sandy? All right.
Okay. All right, any other comment? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we're adjourned. Please take cupcakes.